So we'll just pick right back up, Brian. I noticed right here right from the start, and I'm wondering if this is part of your training program is the Saratoga water there that you're drinking.
No, I just picked this up today from Sprouts. I'm
It's
not I'm
not.
not branded with anybody. If they want me, they can.
You don't
I'll
do like
take
the
it.
Saratoga ice water dumps in the morning.
Nah.
I know they're big on that with Andrew down there in Miami.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
we got
just
we got Mr. Ashton Hall, who's he's probably the number one ice bath man in the world.
yeah, I know. I saw.
You've seen his videos?
Oh yeah. Yeah, who hasn't?
The one,
Oh
the
man.
one of him with DJ Khaled, the DJ Khaled
Yeah, I
photo.
saw that.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's funny. But another thing too, before we really get into it, is like like your own kind of workouts that you're doing for your own sake. Like, what is that like for you? Because you just went on these hikes and whatnot we were talking about, and
Mm.
yeah, talk about that.
Regular old weight room.
Yeah.
Flat footed, heavy. Like so, like I that's what it's kind of good. My team's even been pushing me to talk more about like who I actually am as a person. And like I love weightlifting, I love bodybuilding, like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Ronnie Coleman. Those are guys like I idolized growing up. And I did a lot of like even in college, I dealt with a lot of bodybuilders and nutritionists that dealt with bodybuilders. So, like, I was really big into the weight room. And anybody that's played with me or knows me from my playing days, they know how big of a weight room fanatic I was. It's part of the reason why I'm out of shape because a few years back I really hurt the disc in the bottom of my back, lifting really heavy. So that kind of ruined me for a few years. I've kind of learned how to work around it now. But yeah, I like old school hypertrophy, burn the muscle out, try to get 20 sets. When I'm in the groove,
Yeah.
it works great, eating three, 4, 5, 6 meals a day. Like I like that. I like that aspect. It's fun to me. But to me, it's its own sport. And that's kind of what, I try to get people to understand. Like I'm not against it. I just think everything has its place.
Right. So yeah, man. Yeah, tell the people about your training with the athletes and why some of the stuff that you do, like, or that most people do with the traditional training, would be detrimental to the athlete's performance. Just to
Right.
give a little intro.
Yeah, so I started working with Gary Marinovich, who's the brother of Marv Marinovich, who created this system basically from scratch. He took Russian research from a guy named Yuri Vogashansky. He's the creator of plyometrics. And what I thought was fascinating, what Marv basically did was take the actual construct of the science, of the definition of the science, the actual factual principles. He took that and then he started to apply them in his own drills. So I say this a lot to people. Um, the principles will never change. Techniques change. Techniques can be gimmicky, but principles don't change. And that's how you know the difference between a technique and a principle. So somebody jumping over a hurdle in my gym is just a technique. It's
Right.
it's a technique to the principle. And the way we lift weights, because it's so different, is a technique. It's a technique based on the principle. So the key is not going outside of the principle and then understanding that principle. It's like even looking at like the Bible, right? You might have a commandment, but then you have 25, 30, 100 statutes that go with that one command, right? So it's not just do not commit adultery, but then there's all these standards of adultery that go down the list, so you have to look at this the same way. And I think that people have a lack of understanding of the principle, and that's what creates a lot of the confusion and a lot of big eyes when they're looking at our stuff. And I'm just showing techniques. I had somebody come in the gym the other day, and I said, a lot of people think they're gonna come here and just start jumping around, and that's probably the smallest portion of what you're actually seeing. A base workout is very, very meticulous and boring for most of the workout. And so I'd say probably maybe 15, maybe 20% of our daily workouts are, the explosive stuff. So, and of course that depends on the day, but we're going to take our time. We're going to be meticulous with every movement. If you're dealing with a football player, or you guys deal with a lot of mixed martial artists, there are a lot of positions. It's not just one in the chain, and most systems are catered around forward, side, back, and there's a chain of things that can go around that, and then chains inside of those chains. And so when you're looking at an athlete like a running back, he can't have a lot of he needs a lot of adversity, or he needs to be able to deal with a lot of adversity, and he needs to be able to create a lot of adversity. And this is what throws defenders off. So if you look at a Kyrie Irving, you could try his moves all day, but in his mind, he's so diverse. He has a tool belt, and he can use every tool in the belt. And most people have a tool belt and they use 5 tools,
Right.
and they never get to the other 99 or 100 or 200 tools they have in the belt there. And that's what
Well,
makes them easy to stop.
yeah, and with like the Kyrie
100%.
Irving example, the decision making is so fast that
Right,
the relaxation is there, which is like the key of the whole training.
right, right.
I
And
mean, I've
same
seen
thing with
some
like a John.
videos. What
Go
was that? I know
No,
I've seen
says
a lot of videos of Kyrie Irving where he just have you ever seen the one where he could just completely like lean forward and his ankles go into complete dorsiflexion and he's
right,
just like going back and forth on his feet and the balance is ridiculous with the relaxation and the control.
right, right. A John Bones Jones is another one. Like you never see the same fight.
Right.
And it's just like Jesus Christ. Like he beats you one way, next time he's jumping on your back and submitting you, and next time he's elbowing the hell out of you against the cage, and you just never know he's a chameleon. And I think
Right.
that, one thing I haven't talked much about, but I've been talking in the background about a lot, is the lack of cultural, especially in this country, the lack of cultural um, diversity. I think now, since people don't go outside a lot and see things and go out and try to implement them in the streets or with their friends and things like that, I think our right brain is clouded a little bit. I was looking at running backs, and me and I'm not gonna say his name because I'll take the adversity, but I was looking at running backs, and I said, other than Saquon Barkley, who would you say has a style that you remember for the next 20 years?
Mm.
Maybe
And
Derrick Henry.
I've seen that before though. I've seen that with Adrian
Okay.
Peterson. I've seen it. You know what I mean? Like it's
Okay.
nothing that I
Yeah.
hadn't, seen before. He's exceptional, but it's nothing that I haven't seen before. Like I haven't seen a Le'Veon Bell in a while. I haven't seen LaDainian Thompson. I haven't seen Emmitt Smith. I haven't seen a Barry Sanders, a Thurman Thomas, a Gale Sayers, a Walter Payton, a Tony Dorsett. I haven't seen those. And you would think with all the modern systems out here, you would see even more diversity,
You
right?
know where I think you do see it though is in the UFC or in other martial arts.
But UFC is a very early sport. It's still a young sport.
That's true.
You're talking
Yeah,
about
I mean,
sports that have been going on since the 60s,
that's the
70s,
truth. I mean,
80s.
when we think about Le'Veon Bell, we don't see anybody working with patience anymore. Like he was slow back there, but it seemed slow, but it was fast. Like it
It
was
was
something
like
that
a finesse pitcher in baseball, like with Greg Maddux. That's what it
okay,
reminds me
okay.
of. You know what I mean?
Wait,
It's like,
so let's circle back a little bit because you spoke on the principle, but for those who don't know, what exactly is the principle of the plyometric and what are you looking for when we're going into these moves?
all right. So there's the main principle is what I call the 0.15 rule. And when I really got where I would say I still feel like, I know people are calling me what they're calling me, and I let them call me what they want to call me. But in my personal opinion, I think I'm just starting to hit my stride. And probably about 5 years ago is when I really um, started to kind of hit my stride. and I've been back and forth with Gary from California a few times, and we talked a lot. And um, once I really got to understand like this principle, which is the conversion time, um, that's when things kind of started to make sense. Now, like I said, there's a lot of statutes, there's a lot of techniques that go into that, or to create that to better it. You know what I mean? But the conversion time is 0.15 tenths of a second at the isometric, or the concentric isometric period, right? So anytime you go through, and just to make it easy, I use a trampoline effect, right? So if you look at a
Mhm.
trampoline, the first thing you start off with potential energy, right? So how hard are you about to fall onto this trampoline? That's the first thing, right? So once you hit this trampoline, the trampoline is going to start to stretch, and they call this a stretch shortening cycle. And this is where you're basically loading force, right? And what's happening is the force is actually yielding. So you'll
Mhm.
strike and the force will yield. So if you think of it like a punch, you'll start to pull back and you're actually yielding energy, because at some point that has to stop completely so that you can go in the other direction. And all you're looking for is how much time does it take from the complete stop to a budge that way. That's it. So as soon as you see a budge from that complete stop, that means you are reversing force in the other direction. And however long it takes you to stop and budge is where the 0.15 takes place. Now, in an elite situation, it should be so quick you shouldn't be able to see it. So if I see people doing a drill, and a lot of trainers, they won't want to show me videos, but I'm like, yeah, I can eyeball it pretty good. You know what I mean? There are very few situations where I like, let me put it on the app, but I can eyeball it pretty good. And when you start to see a full pause and you can see it, it's usually not 0.15. Because you can get on your
Mhm.
phone right now and literally 0.15 is like this. That's it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so you have to understand that breaking point is and that's just 0.15 so that you're in the positive. That doesn't mean you're elite.
Mhm.
That's just to be in a positive, and that's based on plyometrics. But plyometrics is based on what? Athletics.
Power.
And it was built for athletes. It's the only pretty much the only system I've seen that's actually built for athletes, or only science that was directly built for athletes. It was discovered because a guy in an athletic facility in Russia was falling off a box, and he was falling off the box, playing around basically and jumping. And every time he'd fall and jump, I guess Yuri looked over and saw him and was like, "What the hell's going on? He's jumping like twice as high." And he started to do research on that, and that's how basically it was discovered. It was really an accident. So a
Okay.
lot of people don't know that. So that's why it's deemed jump training, but it's not jump training. Plyometrics is not jump training. It's just a science of how you load and fire force. So it can be a punch, it can be throwing a baseball. First guy ever taught me plyometrics was a guy named Ron Wolford. He's known as a pitching doctor. He's actually I don't know if he's still running, but he runs a place called a pitching ranch. He fixed people like Verlander and all these guys. And I was working for him in college. This before I even knew the Marinoviches, way before. It's 2003, I believe. And he was teaching plyometrics through throwing. And all these guys were just throwing like unbelievable speeds. So I went there and I actually got a job there, and I went up like 5 miles in a month, right? And I was pretty much like, I'm drafted at this point. Like, this guy's fixed me, and all it was he was training the loads. Instead of worrying so
Right.
much about throwing forward, he was training the loads, because he was like, if we can get out of the load faster, you're gonna throw much harder. And he just figured out how to get plyometrics involved in throwing. Now everybody's doing it now, so everybody's a genius. But I saw this then, and guess what? My first uh, training camp was with Pow3rplus. It was a throwing camp. I was supposed to be a throwing guy. This was supposed to be for
Mhm.
baseball. It was never supposed to be this.
Do
I
you
had
have
four.
a few baseball guys right now?
Oh yeah, I got a few, but not
A few.
not not a whole lot like you would think. But a lot of people don't know that I'm a throwing guy. I was working with
Right.
throwing mechanics. I had quarterbacks and pitchers, and anybody that basically wanted to throw harder. That's what I was doing. I was basically doing what Driveline is doing right now.
Yeah, I find that like I find that when you competed in a sport yourself, the coaching that becomes a little more I don't want to say more fun, but almost more efficient in a way.
Yeah, yeah. But also, I was a coach for like 13 years after that, and during that time, so I was actually at my middle school that I worked at, and I was bored in the summer. I got through coaching select baseball. I was tired of that because it was just like with coaching at the school and then all weekends, like I never had a day off. I had like one streak. I think I went almost 28 days with not one day off. I was working doubles every day for 28 days. So I from there I just went on and I was like, I need some time for myself. And I wasn't doing anything. So a couple of guys that called me out of the blue and asked me to work their kids, and I helped them out. And they're like, man, I took him all the way to Florida and spend like $5,000 and you fix this on a weekend. So it's like, you need to be doing this. And then the football dad came in from the quarterback and he's like, you need to be doing this. Like you're really
Yeah.
good at it. And like I said, I didn't know what I was doing. So when he brought me 10 football guys like in 2 weeks, I was like, dude, this was a throwing camp. So what I did, I was already looking at the Marinovich stuff. I never talked to him, but I was looking at it. And I just started ordering from a place called Sports Science Lab. I thought Marv was actually there, but they had already broke up. And I started ordering stuff from there and just doing what I could find on his website and what I could find from the Marinoviches online. And that was pretty much it. And they got better. So I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I sucked, but because the system is so good, the athletes got better anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. I see a few people now incorporating the system.
Yeah.
Where are the mistakes being made from the little that you can see online when someone's trying to do the Marinovich style training? Where are they going wrong?
Well, first off, most of them hadn't worked with the Marinoviches.
It's true.
So
Yeah.
that's one of the problems. And I'm telling you, I'm not going to say any names, but there are people popular out there, and I don't feel like they're very good. And that's okay. I mean, if they want to give information, information is information. But there's some guys out there I don't think are very good at all. And I may not come off super articulate or um, I may not even sound super intelligent to most people because I'm very simple. What I knew about when I was a teacher, I would watch some of the most intelligent teachers that couldn't teach.
Right.
Because teaching is an art. It's not how intelligent you are. It's how you take
Mhm.
information and give it to the masses where they can understand. So I learned early on that wasn't going to be my MO to like sound or give you 100 different things. But what I can do is take one thing and give it to you 100 different ways. And I think that simplicity is very, very important. And when you start getting too much information and not enough, what I would call not enough personal interaction where people where the average person can understand it, you're going to create
Mhm.
confusion. And I know people that know the principle. I've talked to them. They told me stuff I didn't know, and then I watched their training, and it's pathetic. And and for those guys to be considered Marinovich guys, like I said, I think it is pathetic. I'm not saying like the normal person is trying to learn right now, but we're talking about guys been doing this longer than me. And so I've had many athletes come here from other guys who've done this, and they're like, dude, this is a whole nother level, right? And it's not because of anything like because I'm the guru. I just listen very well. And Gary's the same way. Gary Marinovich is the exact same way. He's very simple. And sometimes he's like, I think you're getting a little too complicated. He'll tell me that. All right. So, and he's right because if you get there has to be a progression, right? Things have to progress or you die. But at the same time, you can start progressing so much that you get overly creative. And I've seen this happen with a lot of guys. And over time, they don't even look like the same trainer anymore. Guys I looked up to at one point. And so you have to grow, but you have to also understand where you're progressing and how you're trying to progress things to. And that usually happens very, very slow. Just little tweaks over and over and over and over again for years. And usually you look back 3 years later, like, wow, I'm doing this way differently or much more efficiently than I was 3 years ago. So I think the
So
biggest, like I
one
said, I think
big
that's the biggest problem. I think that most people don't know how to progress the training, because they're not Marinovich guys. So if you're not you're not a Marinovich guy because you worked with somebody that learned from the Marinoviches. You're a Marinovich guy because you're continuing to do what the Marinovich Marinovich training is trying to do and where it's trying to go. That's why you're a Marinovich guy. And I've only seen the next best guy, I would say the guy, I would even say maybe he can be in comparison to me or better, is a guy named Jonathan Hoyer. Well, he's working with Brandon Nakashima. He's German. He doesn't even have social media. So you can't see what he's doing, right? And then Gary is the man, right? So it's us after them. And then there's another German guy who's kind of a physio. He's doing some good things too. I forgot his channel name. I'll try to think of it. And he's pretty good too. But I would say, you know, and a lot of those guys learn from my channel. They watch my channel for years and it helped them progress. But of course, I don't give everything on my channel I'm giving in the gym. Like I've created my own running system over the last 2-3 years. I haven't exposed that at all. I've created an actual outside portion to what we're doing inside with all athletes as far as sprint mechanics and things of that sort. And we're going in some different things with conditioning as well. So I don't usually show a lot of that. The ball work has changed dramatically over the last 5 years. That's thanks to Gary. There's a lot of things that are changing, and there's not a lot of people that understand what's going on. So that's the biggest problem. And I'm giving it out, kind of, but I'm not, you know, you're going to have to, because I know how people are, right? People are going to take it and they're going to try to convert it in a way where they're comfortable and keep certain things. And when you don't understand the principle, you don't know what is hindering that and what is aiding it, right? And so, hell, you could try something, it may work for one guy, but then it may fail with 10 others. You see it all the time in the regular standard weight rooms in college sports. We always look at the guys who make it, but you're not looking at, you know, there's 55 people, maybe more on a roster, and maybe 5 get drafted in a year from a big school. You know what I mean? So how many people didn't make it? You know, track runners.
Yeah.
Track runners get screwed up. Nobody ever talks about that. They'll say,
Yeah.
oh, they're going to Kentucky. Yeah, but all of them were 5-star recruits. Now, how many of them made it to the Olympics? Right? You talk about the same names, you know, and now people are starting to hit times in high school and everybody's going crazy. But I'm like, this shit should have happened 10, 15 years ago. It's the same athlete, right? The protocols were totally off. You know, Tony Holler talked a lot about that. And the protocols off. They overrun people. Like, why does a 100-meter runner need to run 6 days a week? That shit is crazy.
So one thing I'm super interested in is your mental process to start a training session, because when we saw you at Uberzadi, that's not easy. That's not you're not chill going in there. You're on top of it and you're very focused. So what's your process like to start a training session?
Right. I think abruptness. I think the training. Let me say this: the training environment can change every day, right? Of course, I was doing a seminar and I wanted you to feel what it feels like to be in a do or die situation. Because really, to get better, you really got to know how to rest, monetize your output, and understand how to use duration, right? That's really how you get better. Because, like, even a 100-meter runner, how many times can you run 100% and get better? You can run 100% for years and not barely get any better. So it's about how you marginalize everything that you're doing in different areas. So that day was considered like what I would consider fight or flight, right? So I put
Okay.
you in a fight or flight mindset. Now, this is where you need that the most. Warm up before a game. That's how it should be. There should be a lot of neurological confusion, not confusion to the point to where you're confused, but confusion to the point to where the brain is firing and coordinating in a lot of different ways before the game happens, so the game slows down. So what I was noticing at one point, we'll usually do footwork first, which takes a little long. It takes like 15, 20 minutes and it's kind of slow pace. But sometimes even on that, I'm like, okay, let's just get calls going, right? Let's get them on the pipes and quarter, half, full. It's got numbers. Here we go, right? And then some days you need to work on technique, so we lay back, right? Like I want them to like specifically do certain things based on what's wrong with them, right? So the first thing that has to happen, you need to know what's wrong with the athlete. Do we have a relaxation problem? Do we have a technique problem? Do we have a strength imbalance, right? Because I would say for the first 20 minutes or so, if you have imbalances, it's not going to matter how well you train. The imbalances are the imbalances, and it's going to be really hard to overcome those things. So first thing, recognize what athletes you have. And this is why I don't train more than 4 people at a time. And that's a lot.
Yeah, that is a lot to train at once.
Yeah, that's still a lot. So I don't train more than that. And I have right now I have 3 trainers in the gym with me with 4 athletes. You see what I mean?
So you're saying before anything, assessment. It's a constant, like, and you're assessing throughout the whole workout, right? Every set is an assessment, basically, right?
I would say at the beginning, I'll do testing. And I probably could be a lot better with that, to be honest. But we'll do initial assessment. So we already kind of know, all right, if this guy has ones, which a 1 is totally deficient, then we have to address that. You can't have guys in the gym with ones. Ones mean if it's dorsiflexion 1, I would love to test these athletes that are tearing Achilles, because how many of them have toes that don't work at all? You could talk all the stuff you want. All these guys on social media talking all this stuff about this and this, and 90% of them don't have an assessment for the foot. So you could tell me all you want about, oh, he should have been in this position. You're not going to hold that position if you're a 1 in dorsiflexion. It's not happening. Or your toes don't work. I've had people that had toes, professional athletes, not 1 toe can budge. So how is this guy going to sustain the blunt force over and over and over again? It's not a matter of if it's going to happen. Something's going to happen. ACL, MCL, PCL, some type of talus damage in the front of the ankle or Achilles. It's going to happen. So
for someone who may not know, like, I mean, if the toes aren't moving, that's pretty general. That's not going to be good for anybody. But for like a physical therapist assessing a client versus you working with elite level athletes assessing those individuals, talk about the differences between those type of assessments.
right. Well, I think physical therapy is set up around our basic medical system, right? All these guys, nurses, physical therapists, doctors, um, orthopedic therapists, they're all in the same branch. So who are they? Who are these tests and techniques designed for? The common man. There should be. I feel like sports should have its own physical therapy. Right.
Mhm.
That's the problem. You can't
100%.
take normal people and put them in there with the 1%ers and say, oh, 1%er, go here. This is how you rehab. Like, or prehab or whatever the case. Right. Like, you have the structure of these guys, and it's not normal. This is a weird thing. Is a weird thing. We need to understand that. And so nobody's going to be in that position normally in life. The common man's not going to be in those positions.
Right.
They're not landing from a 10-foot rim and coming down over and
Right.
over and over. That's not normal. So to put these people in a regular rehab system is like taking a lion out the jungle and house catting them for 6 months and throwing them back in the jungle. That is insane when you think about it. And these kids have no clue.
No, yeah, exactly. Because you're like, this is the doctor, you know what I mean?
Right.
But critical to the way that rehab an injury or whatever, just evaluating for performance is the way in which you do that.
Right. And it has to be fast. You got to get them ready to go back out there and hunt gazelles and leopards and
That's a great example that
you
you
know.
just taking a tiger and turning him into a house cat and then expecting him to go back in the jungle, because that's perfect. That's a perfect analogy of what's happening.
Right. And a lot of them never come
So,
back
like,
the same.
100%. And what's your process like? Because I know you were talking about you had some injured athletes, and so how do you start them going fast while
Well,
they're injured?
I didn't have any. They came to me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they came to me. So, but yeah,
Clip it.
so yeah, I mean, it's so weird because you'll get these guys that been off rehab for a year and they can't get fixed.
Right.
I'm just like,
Right. I
dude,
see it all the
because
time
that shit
too.
ain't for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's the
exactly.
problem. It ain't for you. Yeah, I remember RG3.
Yeah.
RG3
Oh
looked
yeah.
like he was going to be the next Michael Vick or better, and came in, tore that knee the last game of the season. And if you would have saw the stuff he was doing in rehab, it's just unbelievable. Like slow, lethargic squats and things like this, heavy squats. Went back out, what happened? He tore it again. Right? That's not how you train a ligament. A ligament is like a trampoline, right? And if you snap one buckle on that trampoline, one spring, that whole trampoline is ruined. You see what I mean? It's the same thing, but you can't sit 500 pounds in the middle of a trampoline and think that the springs are going to keep springing. That ain't how it works,
Right.
right? You can't just
100%.
set weight down on something and just hold it. That's not how ligaments are built. Ligaments are meant to stretch and give back. And that's why I tell people too, yoga, Pilates. Hey, I like yoga. It helps my back. But guess what? If I was in an athletic situation, I wouldn't be doing it, because you're taking the ligament, which needs to be extremely strong, and you're pulling it off the bone and you're holding it. And it may not, see, this is the thing. Just because it doesn't happen tomorrow doesn't mean it's not going to happen. You may be damaging yourself for years before something happens. And you never thought, oh, it might have been yoga. Well, just think about it in context. Why would I pull a ligament and hold it off in an area that I need to be extremely explosive in? See, this is the problem. This isn't the same. So you got these yoga people, and I'm not against, like I said, I love yoga, but they shouldn't be training the one percenters. Like, and I fight with athletes, some athletes about, well, it's good for mobility. No, it's not. What is mobility? It's good for flexibility. It's not good
Yeah.
for mobility. Mobility is movement.
Right.
Right? And how fascinating the movement is what makes you a mobile in sport. Mobile for an old 80-year-old person means they can do this and this, and they can do it well in whatever time frame it takes them to do it. In sport, if you don't do that move extremely fast, that fastball's right by you. That defensive lineman is kicking your ass and got you 5 feet in the backfield on top of your quarterback. You see what I mean? So the speed facet always has to be a part of it, because it's detrimental to the environment. It's what you do
100%.
for a living.
Yeah, you said something interesting the other day, which is some of the best athletes you've had are the ones with no range of motion. Because the
Right.
mobility is relative to what their needs are.
Right. It's their capacity. So you may say this is a full range of motion, but this person has this much range of motion. Not to say we're not going to work over time to maybe slowly get it out there, but this is what they have right now, and they're great at it. And if they're a great athlete, I'm not trying to get them here right away, because this something in here is making them great. So
Yeah.
get hell, if they're doing this and got a 40-inch vertical, you need to work with this. And you need to
Yeah.
get it extremely dynamic in this and slowly work this. And that's why I like the ball work, because the stretch is natural, right? You can add some weight to it. You can get stronger in the stretch, but you're getting in, out, in, out, in, out. Quarter range, half range, full range, three-quarter range, close, close half, close quarter, close three-quarter, open half, open quarter, open third. The joint is getting stretched and strengthened at the same time. And so, not to say we don't do any well, I don't do any static stretching, but I do static positions. So let's say we have a back mobility problem, we may give them some help, but we're still always moving the movement, right? We're never holding the stretch and pulling off the bone. And that's how you really should look at it.
Do you look at the fascia system at all?
I've started looking at it. I'm fascinated by it. Matter of fact, I send most of my athletes to fascia guys.
Nice.
Okay.
But even in that,
Yeah.
still sports. Like there's things
Yeah.
I don't agree with. And with what I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say. Pretty much, I love fascia. I think that's pretty much the new physical therapy for athletes. That's what I see it as. But I think even in that, we have to understand fascia responds to speed too.
Oh, 100%.
So
Yeah, I've been reading this book recently. I like this one. The one by Parisi, Bill Parisi.
mhm.
Fascia training and application, applying the new science of speed, power, and injury resilience.
Wow,
I've been liking it so far. I'll
I
send
think
you
I'm
a
gonna
link.
check that out. Yeah, send me a link for that. I want to check that
Yeah,
out. Yeah, because I don't think a static situation is going to help a movement-based platform, right? Not to say you can't do anything static, but like people look at me and they'll say, okay, well, your guys jump on the slant boards and they stop. You don't know what the hell I'm doing in my gym. That's the problem. You don't know what I'm doing in my gym, right? When I take sprinters and they need to work on their starts, they jump and they stop and there's no movement. We're trying to hit them with no movement because what happens in the first 3 steps of the start?
Right.
There's no movement in the ankle at all, right?
Right.
But when they're working on transitioning and actual running, they're working on actually striking and moving into position an inch at a time or inch. So they're working a deep, a mid, a half. Football players especially are field sports. They're going deep, mid, half. So they are moving. They're striking and loading into position. And so like people don't really understand. And that's the
Right.
thing. Of course, I'm not going to give everything away. People are paying money to come in there. I'm giving a whole lot. But, every case is different. You know what I mean? You can get 4 elite running backs and all 4 of them strike totally different. And you got to figure out, okay, this guy shouldn't be doing that at all. Or this guy, that's just who he is. And you have to work with this and that to get it better. Or it's so different. Like I got a guy in there right now, played at LSU last year. Yeah, starting running back last year at LSU. And he's with Tampa right now as a rookie and trying to make sure he makes the team. And dude's a phenomenal athlete, but everything he does, it was taking a lot of time. And I saw it on the field. You know what I mean? But he's elite. So you look at him, he went out, he ran a 4.4, jumped 40 inches. Everybody's, oh man, we jump train today. And today. And I had the pro guys come in. We jump train and this guy's a 40-inch vertical. I have guys who have 38-inch, 37-inch verticals that clear the height he couldn't clear. And you know why he couldn't clear it? Because of rate of transfer. When I put him in a situation where it's bam, 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 bam,
Right.
on the last one, what does he do? He tries to.
You're right.
You're right. He's trying to really get over this. And what happens? He slows on the transfer. And I said, you have to trust the science and not your eyes. Because your eyes would say, if I give you a low hurdle, a little higher, little higher, little higher, higher, the weight room has taught you because that's the highest bar. I need to try the hardest. But science says the quicker I transfer, the higher I jump.
Right.
So it's backwards. The one you need to get your progression on, just like a sprinter in track, is the first couple that are low. That's the one where you really try to build the kinetic energy so you can get more height on the last jump. Then you use the potential energy and transfer it quicker, and you're going to be like a trampoline. You see, but
so it's all about the principle.
Right. It goes back to the principle. So I told him today, you're not jumping to jump over somebody. You're jump training because I want to see how much force you can take from the ground and transfer. And that's what you do when you run. How much force can you put into the ground? How much can you respond off of it? How quickly can you respond with that potential energy? Because if you have weak feet and you strike hard, you're going heel to the ground. You're done.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever dealt with anyone who was hypermobile?
Oh yeah. A lot of, it happens to a lot of, that happens to a whole lot of,
Women?
no.
Probably
Well, yeah, some cases, yeah. No. Achilles tendon injuries.
Yeah,
After
exactly.
Achilles tendon injuries, so weird. Ugh, so weird that like you can literally almost like take their foot and
it's
bend it.
scary. It's scary to look at. It's scary to look at when
it's worse after the right. Like I'm like some of that in my mind. I'm not a surgeon. I'm like, man, it's got to be a better way to do this shit. How does somebody's foot do that after surgery, man? And the other foot's never going to be like that. So like, how do you rehab that? It makes me think like now these ACL surgeries they're finding out were horse shit. Like the patella, the cadaver graft, all of those. And now people are like coming back like, oh man, these are bad surgeries, right? And or the hamstring graft and not the patella, the hamstring graft and the cadaver graft. And now people are talking about these aren't great surgery. You take the hamstring tendon out, and now you have hamstring problems. You take a dead person's thing and put it in, and now your leg might not accept it, and you could get your leg amputated. And they were throwing that shit out for years, especially with the amateur athletes. So it makes me think like, what actually goes on in that surgery? Because man, that ain't good. That
And I
is
think
not
about it a
good.
lot as well, like with the fascia, like they're cutting through the fascia, like how
Right,
long they're not looking at the connection system from the foot to the glute. They're not looking at
right,
any of that. So it's like,
right.
where the hell do we actually make the progression?
They're just slicing and dicing. Slicing. That's why I ain't letting nobody cut on my back. I'm gonna do everything in my power. I'd have to be almost on a wheelchair for them to cut on my back. I'm gonna figure it out. That's
Dude, I
that's
100%.
agree.
and
I
I've been
agree.
boxing again and stuff. Like
Nice.
hey, yeah, I deal with it, man. Like if it hurts, I just sit down and I have to watch what shoes I wear. All that stuff affects, but it's kind of good because it's like, man, even if I was healthy, these things aren't good. So I tell my athletes, don't do that, don't wear that, don't, because since I'm hypersensitive to it. But
You ever mess around
yeah,
with the barefoot shoes?
oh yeah, we running.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I got probably 75% of my athletes running barefoot shoes now.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. I've been trying to connect with them. I was like, I can sell this, but I
Barefoot,
feel
Yeah.
are
like
these that you're talking about, are these barefoot cleats or are these barefoot just regular like barefoot shoes?
no, there's regular, like when we do track work,
Yeah.
most of them are in barefoot shoes. I hate regular shoes on the track. Like they're squishy. You can hear it, you
Yeah.
can see it, you can see the buoyancy. And the
That's
guys who have
all
the
I
barefoot shoes, it looks totally different.
Yeah,
We
that's
we
all I run my sprints in is barefoot shoes, just
yeah,
regular Vivos. I put them on and
That's
get
what
after it.
everybody almost everybody has them now
Nice.
that works with me. So
When do so then when are they going to put on the spikes then? Same session?
well,
Like
most of
some
them
spikes
no,
for just some
I
barefoot
don't
or
do I don't do any spike work with them. Most of them have
okay.
guys.
Got
Yeah,
it.
but on that note, um, I am looking. I really need to get involved in that because um, I feel like cleats. Once you start training the foot, it's very important to understand what you've just done. You just totally changed the dynamic of your shoe. So the only foot injury I've had in probably the last 7 years was recently, actually. And a kid came in and actually got a high ranking this year. He was off the radar. He's a top 10 point guard coming back next year. His dad's actually a head varsity coach here in Houston. And he got a mid-grade stress fracture in his foot. And I was like, how does that happen? Like, right, you've been training for like 3 months. That don't happen. You know what I mean?
Right.
And yeah, anytime that happens, I don't sleep very well. And so I was just asking all these things. And then one day he was in the gym and he was talking about orthotics. And I was like, you wear orthotics? He's like, yeah, dude, that's why you got the goddamn fracture.
Yeah.
Like you're wearing orthotics. You strengthen your toe. Your toes are trying to work, and now you have this levy there that's not allowing. So now you're fighting your shoe now. The orthotic is not helping you anymore. It's fighting against you. He's like, oh, and he took him out, and the next day he was like, God, I can feel it. Like I see what happened. Like it's like, dude, your foot has changed. Like you don't need an orthotic to help you work.
Eh,
This is a problem. Orthotics should be thrown out. That's a band-aid for the
Yeah.
real problem. The real problem is we don't train our feet properly.
Yeah,
You
100%.
know,
And the fascia connection has a direct when you start training the feet. You start getting that
right,
because that has elasticity component as well.
right. It goes all the way up. How many chains it goes up?
Yeah,
It's
there's
unbelievable,
several.
especially that glute relationship. But that's why we start usually with the pipes
Yeah.
because the pipes is going to really get rolling and get that blood going. And another thing about the foot is hypersensitive. You
Hmm.
have more nerve endings in the foot than you have anywhere else in the body other than the brain. So you're talking about over 250,000 neurological receptors in the foot. And so the first thing we do as babies, we put socks on. And people are like, can I work out in socks? I'm
Yeah.
like, well, shit, you might as well put the shoes back on.
Yeah.
You're blocking the skin. I said, go and throw a baseball with a glove.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
guarantee you lose 15 miles.
Hard.
Right.
No.
It's
You're gonna
hard
lose
because
15 miles. Guarantee you
the
that.
foot only knows the surface it's touching.
Right. Right. So that makes me laugh. I seen one guy trying to learn this stuff years back in Houston, and he had guys on the pipes, and he had them on pipes with socks on. I'm just like, turn it off. I used to compare myself to some of those people. I was like, They can have
Yeah,
that.
that's what I've noticed too more recently, especially what's crazy, and I know it's got to frustrate you, especially if there's some individuals that you may even want to work with, and you see the people that they're working with, and you see the work that they're doing and posting it and everything else, like for the whole world to see.
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah.
what is this?
You know, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think that's why it's important to build relationships with baseline trainers that have similar viewpoints, because I don't want to be sitting there critiquing somebody making their money.
Yeah.
I mean, it's shitty for the athletes, but hey,
That, that's
I
where it
put enough.
frustrates. That's where it would frustrate me is
Right.
with the
It's
effect
shitty
that
for
it
the
has on.
athletes. It is. It's shitty, but there's so much misinformation and there's so many smart guys out there right now. You get what I'm saying? Like, there's guys that sound a lot more intelligent than me, and I don't see any of their work. You
Yeah.
know, what I was told in school is if you know what you're doing, then show your work.
Yeah.
You know
Right?
what's interesting to me is I want to know a little bit about your process of learning how to simplify because you have to know a lot in order to simplify something. But where did you get to the point where you're like, okay, this makes so much sense to me that I could just tell it to everybody?
Shit, I think when I was like 9 years old.
Yeah. So
I'll
you're a
be
born
honest with you. Like,
communicator.
I think teachers are born.
Okay.
Yeah. I agree with that. I
I
agree
do.
with
Like,
that.
see, we always look at talented athletes, but we never say, oh, this
Mhm.
guy's a talented teacher. See, just because you can read a bunch of books and you got a bunch of information doesn't mean you're a talented teacher. There has to be like
100%.
a spiritual aspect behind what you're doing. I've always been a
Yeah.
good coach. I've always been a good teacher. It didn't
Yeah.
matter what the sport was. I was team MVP in college. I was calling pitches on my team in college, and my coach was a tough dude. I was caught my senior year. I tore my labrum and I had a red shirt. I came back and I came when I didn't catch. I was calling pitchers for the other catcher, not the pitching coach. I was. You see what I mean?
Nice.
And so you have to have some talent. And right away, like Brett, I'm gonna be honest, I think you have talent. Like, you've taken things after a few months of calls and you've done a better job than half the guys have been doing this for 10 years. So I think there's something there. Just, my thing is keep stay simple. I will talk more too, but keep things simple. But I think you have a lot of talent. I see that, right away. And so it's a funny thing. You have to be patient with people too, because some people have talent and they don't know really how to coordinate it. And that's what I'm trying to teach people or help people with. But then I see some people, and it's just like, man, you're not listening. You're trying to look like Pow3rplus, and you're not listening. There's 2,000 videos on my page. If you can make it to the bottom, look how shitty I looked, uh,
Mm,
years back. So I'm trying to cut this time frame out from you guys. You shouldn't have to learn like I learned. You get what I'm saying?
right.
So I didn't have Gary to be on the phone with me to do this. I had to fly out, learn as much as I can, come back. Fly out, learn as much as I can, maybe a phone conversation, come back. I couldn't see the stuff. I didn't have anything to go off of. You know what I mean? The other guys, I was told by him, don't look at them because they're not doing the shit right. And he was right. He was right. So the guys who were on the internet, they were doing a shitty job, but there was the only thing that was out there for the Marinoviches. So who knows what shitty is and not, right? If I wanted
100%.
to, I could ruin some guys' careers. I really could. If I was that kind of guy, I could. And you know why I'd be doing it because I don't want the athlete to have a detriment. I don't want the detriment to be in the athlete because they're the ones who are going to suffer in the end. So if one trainer screws up, 100 people, those 100 people might think that's right, and they're going to screw up two people apiece. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Now some got almost 1,000 people, that are getting screwed up, and then those people learn, and then they go teach out somebody. See, it shit can go on forever, but people don't look at things like that. You know,
Yep.
that's why I got to get YouTube going.
Yeah. We
There's shit like this, like when we're
yeah.
talking like this, and people can see this all the way through.
Yeah.
This is what's going like, oh shit. You know what I
100,
mean? All these
100
aha moments we're having here
yeah.
to think about.
Mhm.
100%. One thing that I'm very interested in is like I don't know if you're still working with any youth athletes. I don't think so. But
kind of, kind of.
yeah, but when these youth athletes have to play their role on their team in the weight room, Do you establish a relationship with that coach and say, hey, you know, like, because it's not really like you can just say we're not doing this.
Hey,
Maybe you can.
before I went all in, I was a junior high coach in Texas,
Right.
right? Junior high is like high school in probably 75% of the rest of America in Texas. Like it's basically like just a feeder high school. So we did the exact same all-season program, all these things. One of the reasons I kind of sped up quitting my job was because I was getting called into the office for taking athletes and training them in the summers. And then I'm like, it's your best athlete. So they were getting pissed because it was their best guys, right? I left that situation and then I moved from that area. And like 3 or 4 of those high guys have been hurt almost every year.
Mm.
You see what I mean? And so even though they weren't doing the right thing, they were doing the right thing enough to save them. And no, that's not my job. I'm not liked by local colleges around here. I'm not liked in Houston. I'm not liked by some of the biggest track programs. I'm not liked in Houston. Like, and I'm okay with that. I'm not here to be liked. I'm here to save careers. And
Well,
so
one thing that's extremely, like, Brett and I talk about this often, is like when you see it, you can't unsee it. Like you can't possibly look at what you guys are doing over there and be like, yeah, this won't work. This
right.
this is silly. It's like you can't undeny. I mean, you can't deny what you're seeing.
But it's ego.
That's
the problem. When I challenge your manhood and you see something and you can't combat it, it's an ego thing. And so it's not about the athlete anymore. It's about, damn, I learned this for all this time and I invested all this time. There are very few people in this world can say, fuck it, that's wrong, I'm done with it. I'm just one of those guys. Like I didn't pay enough attention in school to fall in love with it. So I can say, oh yeah, all that's horse shit. And I can start over.
Another thing
I'm okay with that.
Because like Brett implements a lot of the Pow3rplus stuff into his regular clients, into his Gen Pop. Like, what's your opinion on that?
Into with his normal people, normal population. I think like
it's health. So here's what I would like to hear what you're saying, but it's for their own health.
Right. And
I understand that it's not completely a wellness system, but a lot of the aspects that you can implement with regular people is very
it is wellness.
It's 100%. It's protecting their joints and bulletproofing their ligaments and tendons.
Now I may not jump train a 50-year-old, 60-year-old. Maybe
you can do pogos. You can do jump rope.
Pogo for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
And so like again, it says the base principles are fine. It's just some of the extreme stuff is for extreme sports.
Right.
So when I got somebody repeat jumping off a 60-inch box, or not, well, I've had one guy do that, but like a 48-inch box, right? Insane. Yeah, I did. I got repeat that. I got it in the archive somewhere too. It's down there somewhere. But at the same time, that guy's a 4'3" guy. So he's going to be putting a lot of force into the ground. The impact he's getting off of that fall is similar to what he's going to be doing when he hits the track. So in an extreme situation like a 100-meter run, I can, but I don't know why it wouldn't be. This is how the body moves. So if you're doing ball work with people, hell, that could work for anybody. Gary Marinovich, I'm gonna tell you this story real quick, and I'll let you guys get to the question. But Gary Marinovich, this was about 3-4 years ago. I went to Hawaii and trained with him, and I brought one of my football players that was actually with the Jaguars now, Eric Murray, and we all went down. It was a great time. We all trained together, and I wish we could do it again, but we went down there and there was this guy. He had come in the gym and he was kind of working out. Hawaiians train as a culture. They train together. So he was training one guy, but he trained 6. so this guy came in. He was an older guy. I think he used to play football with the Cowboys for a little while, but you know, I don't know if he lasted long or whatever, but man, he got some real bad disc problems and things like that, and barely was immobile. He was basically walking to the gym in a walker. Well, when Gary got there, this is at the BJ Penn gym on the Big Island. This guy could barely get to the gym. He's in a walker. They put him in the pool, all that vibrational work. Gary just start like having them vibrate, things like that. 2 weeks, the guy was walking to the gym without a walker. Guy goes on vacation, comes back 2 weeks later, he's back in the walker.
Crazy. I've heard that.
So I'm looking at this shit like, whoa, right?
Do you
And
remember
Gary's like,
the?
man, it's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. And I'm like, wow, we really don't understand what we're doing. Yeah, I'm talking about us. Like, we really don't understand
Yeah.
the impact of what is actually going on right now. And when you got people coming in, I just had a guy from Scotland, came for 2 weeks, 18 years old, flew down here, Ireland, sorry, came for 2 weeks, was running a 10-9. But I saw the guy, I was like, dude, you got, I don't give a damn who you are, where you are, what color you are, you got potential, right? And he's thinking I'm a white kid from Ireland, the States, everybody's so good. I said, they're not as good as you think. I
Right.
said, first of all, they don't get coached well. I said, you just keep our principles, keep doing our plyometric stuff. You need to find a track coach that's okay with what you're doing with us, and you'll be okay. He went back, found a track coach that was okay with what we're doing. He just come back and forth. I just keep doing the principles. You got to clean the backside mechanics up. That's going to take some time. I said, you're a 10-4 guy waiting. He said, you think I can run 10-4? I said, yeah. So I was in Italy. He calls me just screaming, Coach, I just ran 10-4. Right?
Let's
From a
go.
10-9.
Let's
Right?
go.
And I said, and he's 18. Right? And I said, I told you, dude. But somebody, like I said, the mind is so powerful.
Yep.
You know, Roger Bannister, 50 years, they were trying to break the 4-minute mile. Roger Bannister breaks the 4-minute mile after 50 years.
Yeah. And
6 months later, 5 other guys break the 6-minute mile.
yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
For
100%.
guys to throw 100 miles per hour used to be impossible, right? You get one guy every 5 years in high school throwing 100 miles. Everybody throws 100. You know, now guys are like in Texas, nobody can break 10 seconds. Nobody. One guy broke it, then another guy broke it, then another guy broke it. That's why it wasn't a big deal to me. When one guy broke it, I was like, oh, it's over. Floodgates. You see what I mean? It's because people live with limited beliefs. And
Yeah.
so since their belief system is so small, then they don't really understand. So that's the biggest part of the training is when I get a guy in there, I tell him, like, dude, it's not that much difference between you and Saquon Barkley. Dude, it's not that much difference between you and Chapman. Hey, it's not much difference between you see what I mean? Because if they can
100%.
start thinking outside, I was a middle school teacher, right? And now everybody's trying to be on a podcast. Regular old middle school teacher, right? but I quit that job because I realized I want to be the best trainer in the world. And for me and what's stopping me from believing that for myself? I don't say it to people, but what's stopping me from internalizing that? You know what I mean? And once we start limiting the athlete, we start limiting everything. So you can have the best system in the world, but if you can't make that some bitch believe, you're not gonna be any good at this.
100%. 100%.
100%.
Back to the vibration therapy, because you mentioned that. Do you remember the VibeX platform that they had at Uberzati?
Yeah, yeah.
What do you think about doing some drills on that?
Um, I was supposed to work with that guy. I got a little scrambled.
I think it's
Hey,
pretty interesting.
I think it is very interesting, but that's where our vibrational training started.
Right.
So for me, it's kind of like going backwards.
Oh, you actually were on those in the past.
No. So that platform, the Russians had platforms like that back in the day,
Right. Yeah, you see it
right?
at various, health clinics as well, a different version of it, but
What was happening? The astronauts were going to outer space. The
right.
Russian astronauts supposedly were going to outer space, and when they were coming back, they were atrophied. So
Hmm.
their bones and their muscles. And they noticed when they were on those I don't know how they figured it out, but when they put them on the vibrational plates, it would like substantially increase
Yeah.
their recovery, right? The bone density would get better quicker and the muscles and everything. But what Marv said was, well, why don't we just take the vibration and do it ourselves? And that way the brain can coordinate its own vibrational movement and capacity.
So you would equate the Twitch drills and the pool work and whatnot to
Right,
the
right,
same
to
as the
everything, even
got
weightlifting,
it.
throw it in,
Right.
and
Okay.
we're doing it in a way to where now the signal is being signaled by us and not a
Right.
machine. So that's
Okay.
what I'm kind of saying. It's like it's not
Yeah.
bad. It's just to me, it's like going backwards.
Right.
Mhm.
That's the
So
problem I have with it. It's not that it's a bad tool. I think it can be a really helpful tool.
What about something like the WEC method, power vest, and the power pulsers, the hand pulsers?
I actually used the hand pulsers this week from some of my runners.
Nice.
So yeah, yeah. Like I said, and I like what David does, and I like the force plate, and I like pretty much, at least 80% of all the stuff I was seeing at the Rosati's clinic,
Conference,
right?
yeah.
Conference. I think all those guys have a lot of good intuition and structure. I think the problem is not them. I think the problem is this cattle herding system we have in most of these off-season programs and the physical therapists. I think these are the people who are really hurting sports. My only reserve is that this is just kind of how I live life. I'd rather put a million things into one sequence than to take one sequence and spread it a million ways. Right? So if I start taking a method here, 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 a method, I have to know the base principle of each one of those methods. Then I have to compile it into my own system. For me, my brain is already like ADHD on steroids. So that is not a good thing for me.
That makes
Right?
sense.
I'm better when I take one thing, understand it 100%, put all of my all in that one thing. That's for me. Not to say that if you use this or use that it won't help your athletes. It may be even better than what I'm doing, right? So it's not. I never tell a trainer, don't do this. Do like I'm me. Like that's it. I'm me. I got trainers that train with me. That I got a trainer that trained me. He does stuff on the side. He didn't know I know, but he does some differential stuff on the side, and that's fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
Hey,
I'm
Yeah.
you
always,
know what's
but I'm
interesting as
always
well?
tweaking this system. I'm always tweaking it in every
Yeah.
aspect. So you're never going to come back to me and see if I go back to Rosati's in 3 years, my shit's gonna look different
Right.
because there's small tweaks being made periodically throughout the year.
Yeah. Little
And like
breakthroughs.
the cool thing too is that like you're following the same principle, but there's so many different outlooks on it. Like the flexibility that they're getting with the
Elements,
ball work, that's ridiculous. The elements,
right?
yeah. The
Yeah,
flexibility is absolutely out of this world. The what you call now the quadruple extension is that
right.
like a few years back like that's funny. I saw you on the Mark Bell podcast. You were saying triple extension. Now you're saying quadruple extension,
Yeah, yeah, it is
stuff like
because
that. So it's
yeah, every day is the beautiful thing about my job is that every day it's a new assignment, right? And
100%.
it's kind of the hard part too because you realize you're not gonna have, man. If you're lucky and you get to keep a guy for 4 years, you're a badass. Like it's hard, especially on a professional level. It's hard to keep a guy for 5, 10 years. You know what I mean? And rare. And I would worry about that a long time ago. I don't now. If I'm able to change somebody's life for a year, that's great. If I'm able to change somebody's life for 6 months, that's great. If I'm able to change somebody's life for 10 years, that's great. But I think that all of these are learning experiences and they help me too. And every time I get a new personality in there, that's another learning experience. I learn how to deal with a certain personality differently. I learn how to get somebody motivated a certain way. I learn how to deal with different problems. And that makes me it keeps
And
developing me.
even getting this knowledge to the athlete is very important
Right.
because once they learn, now they have an understanding when they maybe are working with somebody else.
I look up, I got one with me right now, and he's been about 2 years, professional football player. And sometimes he just starts going off and he's teaching the class. And I just shut up and move over. I'm like, you done well. When you can, and I
I
tell people,
love
I said,
that when
when
I
you can
see,
teach the class, I
yeah,
know I done my job.
I
I could literally leave the keys to that guy for a week and I'd be all right.
yeah, yeah.
I've done
Hey,
my
that's
job.
that's awesome.
That's a
That's
really
That's
cool
teaching.
feeling.
That's
That's
teaching.
a really cool feeling. I
Right.
see that in my gym, and
Right.
I know you see it too, where the passion that we have as the coach is turned over to the athlete, and then they have that same
Right.
passion because the training is unique and it's effective.
Man, when you see him in a corner on a break and everybody's like just discussing what just went on, and it's just bing, bing, bing. I'm like so I've hired recently, it's a girl I'm training, but she's actually my social media specialist. So like if you look at some of the content, it looks a little different now because she's transitioning
Yeah.
into taking over Instagram. And I'm probably gonna push over to YouTube and do what I really want to do, which is like stuff like this now. And she was saying people are looking at all the stuff we're doing with the jumping and this and that. If they could hear some of these conversations, they would be floored.
Yeah.
Professional athletes, high school guy, like it's unbelievable some of the things that are discussed and talked about and the way it's being discussed and talked about. She was just shocked because she never been in an environment like this. And she was like, I just like the things you say sometimes, if you could bottle them up,
Yeah.
so she's trying to bottle them up for me now. So
Yeah, start coaching with the mic on. It's weird though.
that I don't like it. Like that's
It's
not
so
really,
weird.
I'm an outgoing guy, but like, man, I just they and my team pushes it. Right.
Yeah.
But I honestly I don't like it. I don't. I guess be careful what you ask for in life. Because like, I expected at one time I was like, man, I remember making a post. I should at least have 50,000 followers. I only had like 6 or 7. And next thing you know, I got 350. And I'm just like, oh my God. Like it just never stops now. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
and then my numbers on there. So it's just like, oh my gosh. Like I have to literally do something I've never done in my life, which is put my phone on do not disturb because it's just so much. But like it's a beautiful thing though. Like I wanted to make an influence on the world. And like I said, I think I'm just getting started. Like you gotta have you gotta have some dogs. You know what I mean? Like you can be the greatest trainer ever, but if you don't get the opportunity to train somebody that everybody knows, you're not going to affect everybody the way you think. You're going to be here one day and gone the next. You got to do something that the world's like, oh shit,
Yeah.
that really changed something. And I don't think having a bunch of followers it's done that. Like, so me personally, I don't feel like I've done shit. Everybody else is like, oh, you're a guru. You're one of the best trainers in America. And I'm like, well, what have I done? I've done some crazy shit, but I mean, like, what have I done? Like on a worldwide stage, you know what I mean? And
Well,
I want to see some things happen that like can really affect sports. I think honestly, fighting, you're gonna see it when you start getting world champions in fighting. It's nothing like it. When they know
Well, I
your
mean,
fighter's the most conditioned,
yeah.
he beat some big name person, got the world ranking. Nothing like fighting. Fighting, like that's what put the Marinoviches like seriously on the map. Troy Polamalu too, but when that BJ Penn, they turned to legends after that.
Well, you
Joe
do
Rogan
have,
brings that up all the time, like the BJ Penn and what they
yeah.
did with his career. And to see what BJ was before and to see what they made him after, and then to see what happened to BJ after they left. You saw 3
Yeah.
BJs, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Well, hey, you do have a fighter right now.
Yeah, I
Well
got a good one.
respected, well respected champ.
Yeah, yeah, I do.
So
We not, but
you
the
got
like
to
I said,
take some
I'm
credit in that.
yeah.
That's
We
something
want
you said. Yeah, you said I don't feel like I've done it. You got a few. I know you've done a
I
lot.
got a few. I also have a very high level
Oh,
of
well, yeah.
expectation.
100%. 100%.
So I want in
I
a
mean,
way.
Yeah.
Like we want to beat in
yeah.
a way.
Yeah.
Like that's all I think about. I don't even like it's like I'm preparing them for the fight and I'm already like, okay, but this needs to get a little better and this needs to get a little better. We got to beat him. So it's like we're always preparing for who we're fighting, but I'm always thinking in the back of my head, like I changed up the whole camp the last camp with his conditioning. We've been doing the same conditioning for almost 7 years. And I changed it up. And I basically said, well, the first half of camp, we're not going to condition because you're
Mhm.
already conditioning. You know what I mean? Doing the fast plyometrics and spurts is a form of conditioning. You got to get out of this Rocky Balboa shit. And I said,
Mm.
you're going to be a track runner for the first 5 weeks. And then I'm going to condition you off of that for the next 3 or 4 weeks. And the reason why is because his times were getting worse and worse and worse. So if he's getting slower, but he's conditioning more, then he's getting slower in his conditioning.
Right. Right.
You see what I mean? But if he drops 1 second from now, from the time he fights anyway, you see what I mean?
Oh
Not only
yeah.
is he going to be more conditioned, but he's going to be much more explosive in his conditioning. That's the key. It's
That's the
not
key.
surviving. It's how diabolical you are during that duration. That's condition.
Mhm.
You see what I mean?
100%.
So I switched it up, and I switched it up not just that way, a bunch of other ways I'm not going to talk about, but yeah, switched it up.
Yeah. With some things you can talk about when it comes to making that transition for a fighter, because obviously fighters, you know, he's got to last 12 rounds or what he's fighting 12 rounders right now, right? 12 rounds. So
Yeah, it was actually the last one was a 10, but easily could have went 12. But these are all championship fights now. I think our next fight might actually be in Japan.
Nice.
It might actually be against Inoue's brother. There's a couple others. Like the top guys in his class are all pretty much all except one are Japanese.
yeah.
Hopefully he gets Inoue's brother, and
Yeah.
we can start unifying these belts so we can move up. We're going to have to be chasing tail. I don't know how far up he's going to go. He may try to go to 130. So we need to try to catch him before then. But I'm not in a rush. He's a great fighter.
Who else is at 130? Trying to think who else is up at that around that weight range.
Shakir and all those guys moved up. We spar Shakir Stevens though pretty regularly.
Yeah.
Great fighter. I'd like to see him fight somebody big. Very smart. But yeah, Inoue's kind of the guy there. You got Fulton at 30, but Inoue blasted Fulton. But he's a good champion, pretty good champion as well. I mean, Mike walks around at like 135, 136, and he's taller than all those guys. So theoretically, I mean, if we just had to, we could go up there. But I wouldn't rush it. I wouldn't rush it. He's in his prime right now. So let him unify the belts, get his confidence up.
How old is he?
27.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's time.
Yeah.
So making that transition from you know, that short burst, that explosiveness, that speed development, what's the biggest change that happens when you get into more of that conditioning like you were talking about?
Um,
Is it time of the work? I mean, of course it's time of
I
the work,
think
but
it's weird because time of work will actually go down as conditioning goes up. So it's about doing more in a shorter duration, more times. That makes sense?
yeah, oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So if I can do, let's just take a basic 4 square agility drill. You're going to sprint, shuffle, back pedal, shuffle, right? And now I'm calling change, 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 right? At the beginning of the count, I might push him out to 13 seconds or so, 14 seconds, right? At the and he may do that 5 times, right? At the end of count, he may do that 8, 9 times,
Right.
but he's doing it in like 8-second variations. That's just one example. Now that can go 1,000 different ways, but the better or the closer you're starting to get to competition, in my personal opinion, this is every sport. I think duration needs to shorten because you want to maintain max output and that's it for as long as possible. I don't want to start leaking into 80% going into a season where I'm 100% sure I'm going to go down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like except fighting, in most sports, you are going to go down as soon as the season starts. So why would you want to start the season playing around with 80%? Right? We need to stay in the 90s, 95, 100 range as much as possible and push into the season like that. So when we start going down, you know, some people, what I say, never, don't make your off season your in season. That's what I say. Don't make your off season your in season, right? It's off season. Off season, you're supposed to get rest. Off season, you're supposed to have days off. You know, I got a running back, that running back son from LSU, his dad came out, his dad's like old school. He's like, I've been old school. That's how they trained us. I was like, shit. I went through the same thing. The guy, he's real cool. With one of my mentors who's a coach in the NFL. And I was telling him, the guy was like, yeah, you need to take your boy to Brian. And you know, I was telling him, I was like, dude, he was my coach. Like we were doing the same stuff. You know what I mean? And now he's a believer. I said, that's not how it works. You know what I mean? That's just how we were trained. And when you see your son out here, he's like, I've never seen him run like that. He's been with me 3 weeks. He said, I've never seen him run like that. He said, this is unbelievable, coach. And I said, yeah, it's not what I did. It's not what I did. It's what I didn't do. You know
100%.
what I mean?
100%. There's a
It's not
saying,
what I did.
there's a saying I always use, and it's like, are you winning because of your training or in spite of the training?
Right, right. Some cases, these guys are talented.
Exactly.
Doing too much is the problem.
Yeah. And it's like,
Yeah,
yeah,
and one
exactly. Like if
thing,
you're genetically gifted, you say, is it because of these
Right.
lifts or is it in
Get on your goddamn toes and move. Like I can talk a lot of science, but end of the day, if you can reduce the amount of ground contact time you have, you're going to be better. If you can reduce the amount of time it takes you to load, you're going to be better. If
There's another quote I always use. This is from Charlie Francis. And by the way, what you were talking about, I made me want to ask if you ever looked through his work on the short to long, long to short, egregiate, his approaches and leading up the preparation, where he'll do like long to short, meaning like more like exactly what you were talking about, and then
yeah,
shortens up. And but he'll also has another approach where it's like short to long. Um,
we talked about it a little bit. Actually, I believe me and you, Charlie Francis' work, I believe before.
we did. Because I was
Yeah,
asking, yeah, I asked you that before. I asked you that before.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, it's interesting how there's all the different, and then he has the egregious approach. But anyways, there's a quote
right,
that I use where it goes, Charlie Francis said this, he goes, nobody cares, uh, if it's like some, oh man, I gotta find it, but it's like if a basketball player can't touch the rim, it doesn't matter how many times he can't touch it.
right,
Like,
right, right,
nobody cares how long he can go
right,
attempt to dunk if
you
he
know what
can't
else is
dunk.
something that's
right,
super interesting? This is a story. This is a story about Brett. Actually, this was like
Oh
real
boy.
world experience. Power Plus. Like, so we're walking on the street. It's at night, and some dude walks behind us. Brett Brett turns around in a split second. It's like is fists up. Some dude just walks right behind us, and Brett's like ready to square up and everything, and it's just the Domino's delivery guy walking behind us. And it's just like because of the way he's training and because of all the awareness, all the quickness, and something in his
right,
body told him turn around.
right.
So it's like forget about the sport. Like on the field, yeah, you have to have that awareness, you have to have all that, but in real life as well. Like especially as men, you got to be ready to turn on a dime in a second and like
Right.
have to strike if you need to.
I told that guy when I came off that mountain, I said, you know, what this week has taught me about myself, I don't feel very dangerous anymore. Like, I was like, I gotta get back to getting dangerous. I don't feel dangerous at all. So like I told him, like I'm gonna start incorporating my own training in some of my stuff and
Yeah.
along with some other stuff too. But I think that's the big, everybody's getting into sprinting now, and older people are starting to sprint because it's a research. But I mean, yeah, we stopped being young. When you were young, you running outside. Soon as we stop playing sports and get adult jobs, we start moving slow.
Yeah.
And the only reason like we're not adapted, and when you get hurt, when you start moving fast, you stop moving fast.
Oh
And
yeah.
so,
Hmm.
so if we stop, if people started acting like kids again, then you wouldn't have people breaking down at 40 years old and 50 years old. We're
So what's your
theoretically we're
opinion
supposed to be out
on
in the wild.
yeah? Like, what's your opinion on stop on isometrics with an explosion? So, like, so for example, holding a position like holding a weighted like a cable, holding it back, keeping it, and then exploding off, stuff like that. Like, do you guys incorporate any of that?
No, I'm not totally against isometric.
Okay.
Isometric. So I've made a lot of videos about it, and it could get taken, in a 30-second clip, a lot of things get taken a lot of different ways. That's part of the fun of social media is keeping people in
Hmm.
suspense, right? Um, that being it's entertainment. You know what I mean?
I
I'm
did
not
it.
I'm not naive to that. You know what I
I
mean?
did
Like you
a
gotta understand, I'm
yeah.
not teaching a goddamn class on Instagram.
One of
You know
my
what I mean? I
biggest
know I know what I'm dealing with. So it
one of my
is entertainment too.
one of my
I'm
biggest
not telling
videos.
any folklores or anything, but it is. I'll leave you in suspense sometimes, or make you a little mad, or I know how to rub people and get things
Hey,
going. Like if the
that's how
page
you
is
get the
slow, I know how to
comments.
right. I know how to rub it around a little bit and get some energy going back into the
I own
page, right?
uh I own
But
the current world's heaviest kettlebell, and
um,
I did a video. This is like one of my biggest videos on my page, and I was like, it was like a 3 minute video of me, and I put in the big like titles on the actual video, and it was like world record clean, power clean, and with the 400-pound kettlebell. And
Yeah.
I never did it. I just set up like 20 times. I just acted like I was gonna do it.
Yeah, I know they got all the power cleaners out there about to kill over. It's so funny how people fall in love with those lifts like they're kids. Like that, like the lift is their kid. Like, you know, you talk about a squat and people will kill you. People will want to kill you. Literally. Like, damn, dude, calm down.
And I was thinking about
That,
it yesterday, like reading this book. I was thinking about the squat, and I was thinking about the fascial system. I was like, damn, because they talk about compression, they talk about elasticity, and then they talk about reaction. So it's at one point, do we need to compress fully, fully, fully with a weight on our back, and then come up like you lose all that elasticity when you get into that full compression state.
right, right.
It's like where can we achieve
That's
that better? And I think
well,
there are better ways.
first of all, I think anytime you add tension to an athlete, you're hurting their relaxation qualities, which you need to see the feel better. Anybody ever
Mhm.
think about that? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? If I'm struggling and straining throughout an entire move and there's never an area of relaxation, how do I relax on the field?
Right.
And my whole offseason is predicated around this. When I get people in the
Yeah.
gym, you know what the biggest problem is? They can't relax. If you can't relax, you can't see. The eyes are not responsible for sight. They're windows. The brain projects what you actually see. And so if I'm in a slump in baseball, that goddamn baseball looks about as big as a penny.
Yeah.
If I'm relaxed and I'm hitting the hell out of the ball, that thing's like a beach ball.
Yeah.
And I've witnessed that. As a fighter, when your timing is off, it's like you can't see where shit's coming from.
100%.
But when your timing's on, it's like I everything. I'm smelling everything.
Yeah, you're not getting touched.
You're not getting touched, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Slipping everything, right? So
One thing
this
that's
is all in the
interesting.
brain.
One thing that's interesting is just looking at even looking at the throw. You have tension, 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 and then a moment of no tension at all, and then boom, tension again, and then no tension immediately. So like they were talking about how the best athletes in the world have the ability to contract and release on an instant and do it again and again and again without a second thought.
Yeah, actually it can't be a plyometric move without an area of relaxation either. See, that's why I say plyometrics deem into everything that's considered athletic. That's why I think it should be the base of every athletic system. The science is adaptable to actually what happens in sport. That's what I mean by that. Not the actual jumping on a goddamn, box. The actual plyometric science is adaptable to everything that you do in sport. There has to be an area of relaxation. I know that. That's an actual underlying statute of the 0.15. So there has to be an area of relaxation. So you can't do those things. That's why I don't hold things in isometric positions, because it's a total tension. Now, there is an isometric period in every plyometric move. So we have to know that. But how we chronicalize work, I'm not saying that word right, but how we distribute things to better that is what we have to start looking at. So I look at this. The only person I would probably the only position I would say where I would say it would be feasible to put together some type of isometric hold would be with track athletes with running, because running has to be so consistent and the position is pretty much the same every single time. But this is the craziest shit about it. You're going to do isometrics like that, but you don't do weight training like that. So you're going to isometric them in one position, and then you're going to weight train in another position. Yeah. My brain is confused now. It's like, where the hell are we at? Why don't you everything from that position to begin with, and you're always in that spot, right?
You have
vice versa.
Steps and be perfect. Yeah.
Right. But vice versa, if you look at a field sport athlete, they're going to be every goddamn way. Everted, inverse, low plantar flexion, dorsal flexion, mid dorsal flexion, full dorsal flexion, quarter dorsal flexion, dorsiflexion in an everted position, dorsiflexion in an inverse position. Like, how many different chains? Now, can you sit there and do isometrics in every single one of those positions? You
No,
can.
yeah.
Yes, you can.
Well,
Yes, you
with the
can.
with the speed of the yeah,
Through
exactly.
plyometric movements.
Exactly.
Because you can
Yeah.
call them on a dime.
Right. Right.
But can you
So
statically do
quick
that?
question.
But what's funny is
Yeah.
like the traditional guys have this perfect, like, this is how you do this
Right.
move.
Right.
And
It
it's
doesn't
funny.
work like that's not how sports work.
Yeah, it doesn't
Like
make
it doesn't work like that. You don't get to sit on a field and say, oh shit. When I go back out there on this football play, I'm gonna stick my foot in a 45-degree angle right there for his defensive tackle doesn't run me over. And if he does that, I'll readjust and stick my foot in this one. And then it doesn't work like that. You have to have recognition in drill.
So where does that relaxation component come in for, like, some people just naturally have it, but then if someone can't relax, are you're teaching them to relax fast, or are you slowing them down at all ever? Okay.
I think it's like anything. If you were a kid and you played with the older kids, that shit was fast at first, wasn't it? You weren't very relaxed. But you keep playing with those older kids, the game gets slower and slower and slower and slower. And you're able to develop your own sense of relaxation. Now, I micromanage the relaxation. Every time they don't relax, they're not affirmation, but they're getting some type of
constructive
critic feedback every
Right.
single time. So when you have guys that are doing ball work, in the ball work, you're going to see it right away.
Yeah.
Right. Or if they're doing footwork and they're always looking down, their fingers are doing this. Like literally, if their fingers curl, your pinky fingers curling. Open your hands out, relax your hands. Relax your neck. Stop pulling your head up. Stop curling your toes. Grab the pipe and relax. Push into the stretcher the entire day. That is what it's like to be in our gym. Every day you're getting constructive feedback. In the pool, that's the best way to train relaxations in the water, because I don't give a shit what you do in the water. If you're not relaxed, that water is going to kick your ass. I'm telling you. So you have to be one with water. You look at swimmers like Michael Phelps, they're going that fast and it looks like they're barely moving. You get somebody that can't swim, they look like they cutting everything. They ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, I mean the secret of my sport, I'm a swimmer, is like, and I'm a sprinter in the water. Like if you're not relaxed, you're not going to get the clean water. Like you're not going to be able to the whole goal is to see no splash when you're entering the water.
Right. So it has to be an element of relaxation. So even in like my pool work, I don't let them get too deep on most drills. 80% of the drills are near the surface.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So quick question. So how would you have you ever trained a swimmer?
I was actually supposed to work with an Olympic swimmer. I don't know what his name was. Potentially, I guess he just never. He had to keep doing stuff. A long time ago, I did, and she got way better. But she also ran track and got better, and she ended up choosing track. But I don't remember what event she did. But I know she dropped a substantial amount of time. With swimmers, I would train more out of the water, of course, than in the water.
Yeah,
it's kind of reversed. You know what I mean?
Like the biggest thing that I'm interested in, like when it comes to your training, when it comes to all these different modes of training, is the ankle stiffness. How like, because in the water, you want it to be completely like this. You're talking about that quadruple extension, but the whole time. So the whole time we're completely like this, and we're kind of as loose as we are tense, but the tension is only coming from the shoulders connecting to the hips and just keeping that motion going. So
yeah, but
it's
pushing
like
off the wall, you know, it's like starting in track. So that the extension would come on those outlooks, but you're still dorsiplantaring. It's just it's smaller. It's still an element. You're still actually using the toes. It's just smaller. Like I think somebody was talking about the size of Michael Phelps' feet or hands or something like that.
ridiculous.
Like it matters. It does matter still. You know what I mean? So I would still go in the same way. Like, do your toes move? Can they constructively do anything? Like, are they like hands? You know, or are you just in the water and used to water? So I do the same thing. I think the ball work would be huge for swimmers. I think the twitch training would be huge for swimmers. I think the jump training would be huge for swimmers. I think track work would be huge for swimmers. Getting out and just running hard. We did something yesterday I've never done. One of Siobhan, she's been having trouble deep in races relaxing, but her times are kind of where we want them. I'd like her to drop another 10th and a half before the year, and I think that could happen. But what I was noticing is she doesn't run anything in the meet like she does in practice, right? And I've since got her a track coach, but it's just even when she does work with me on the track, it doesn't look anything like she does. So I start putting her in fight or flight situation. You know, we start doing chase the rabbit, goddamn outside game like tag. And she gets on the track and everybody takes off running in front of her and she has to catch everybody. And then she's in front and then they give them a running start and then she has to stay away from everybody. And we just put her back and forth in a fight or flight. Well, she's learning how to relax more because the panic of losing to the people running after her. You see what I mean? Okay. And I did it with the NFL guys the other day and they loved it.
Yeah.
They loved it. It's super competitive. Okay. It puts you in two mindsets of running. When somebody's chasing you and you're having a start and they get a running start and they're chasing you already, like they're already gone. I'm like, go. And you're coming out of your start and they're already at full speed trying to catch you. And then you see like you don't really have that much time to accelerate because those guys are at full speed. And once if that guy can hold enough, you'll see him start pulling back away if he's faster. You know what I mean? So we did that. I just made it up this week. I was literally sitting there thinking of ways because we don't really have a sparring partner. That's the thing about not being like a track guy. Siobhan doesn't have a lot of sparring partners. So I'm like, well, shit, I can just put her in fight or flight. Like I can just give these guys a head start or give her a head start with no running start. And now she has to still deal with the same adversity, catching somebody or getting caught or not getting caught. Right. And so it started out something to help her. And then the NFL guys were like, bro, I loved it. Like they loved it. They're like, man, this is so cool. So all of them would rotate to be the rabbit. And we'd have a group of people running, taking off. I'm like, go. And they take off running. And they get to a certain point. I'm like, go. And then this guy starts. And they're already at full speed trying to stay away. Chase the rabbit. Simple game.
That sounds like the Cal Dietz stuff. I was reading that in triphasic training.
I just made it up. I just live. Man, most of the stuff I read is like mindset books.
Nice.
Like stuff about like, like the spirit, things like that, the mind.
Give some recommendations.
Yeah.
Shit. Hey, this one right here. Can I see the title?
Put it in front of your face and shirt.
Is that Mastery?
Yeah, can you say it?
No, put it to your chest.
Put it to your chest. With it in front of your chest. Yeah, there you go.
You say it now?
Outsmarting reality.
Outsmarting reality. Okay.
Yeah,
hey, I like that.
Actually a YouTuber.
Hey Brian, that Peak book, you said that's by Mark Bubbs?
I got that one here too.
Is that Mark Bubbs?
Yeah, I'm just getting into this one. Right here?
Yeah, okay. I just added that to cart. And then that one was called Outsmart Reality.
Uh-huh. And everybody should read Outwitting the Devil.
Yeah. Oh man, I was just talking about that on this.
Everybody should read that. That book changed my life.
Really?
That book changed my life. Yeah. I started reading that during COVID. That book changed my life. Because it got to get me first thinking like, the balance of like our thinking. Like I was thinking way too small.
Right.
I was trying to literally compete with people in Houston. Like I don't want to compete with people in Houston.
Right.
Like I want to affect the world. Why am I even thinking? You see what I mean? So now,
right, and so you get caught in that drifting.
Right, and that's what these guys are doing. They're all drifting, trying to fight each other, and all in the same energy field. Well, I've released myself from that.
Right,
and now I'm in Spain.
Right,
it's not that like I don't look at myself as being a special person. I just look at myself as having a 2% mindset.
Right.
So, and then I got to put that same energy into myself. As far as my physicalities, that's not an excuse to be out of shape because I know a bunch of shit. I know better. I've been a nutritionist since I was 19, 20 years old and things like that. I knew about bodybuilding and things like that and working with high level guys. So this is nothing new to me. It's just, I think it's very important that you're selfish before you become selfless. And so you have to pour into yourself, because to pour into other people can be very, very tiring. You know what I mean? I wanted to do this podcast, but I didn't. Like I've been up all week at 7 o'clock and including the day. You know what I mean? And I just wanted to come home and do nothing. But this has been a blessing, but it's draining.
Right.
You know what I mean? Every time I go to work, it's a drain. You know, and for a long time, it was hard for me to charge for my worth, because I didn't have a lot of self-worth. I didn't understand what my worth was. You see what I mean? But the power in changing somebody's life, there's no price tag on that.
100%.
And you have to, and you guys too. Like, you guys are extremely smart guys. That's what I would say to all beginner trainers, man. You have to find a way to charge what you're worth. You know what I mean? I don't really put a price tag. Like a lot of NFL guys, that's why I don't like dealing with them. They think that like you should be charging $2,000 for an off season. Well, that's horseshit. I quit a job in the middle of the year with no money saved. It put a strain on my family, put a strain on my marriage, put a strain on my bank account, my credit. You get what I'm saying? But what I wanted, or what I was trying to get from that, there's no value I can put on that. It's so big. So why should I charge you? Because some other trainer's charging you that. Why should I charge you that?
100%.
That's insanity. You know what I mean? But then I go to Europe and they're trying to gatekeep me.
Yeah.
Well, guess what?
Yeah.
I don't own a facility purposely, because I know that's going to happen eventually. You know what I mean? I know some guys going to come out of the woodwork and say, I'll give you $1 million, stay here. I know it's going to happen. You know what I mean? So I won't even be surprised when it happens. But that's what I banked everything on, was getting a few guys eventually and taking them to the top on a worldwide scale. That's eventually what's going to happen. The goal is to train trainers in the meantime, and potentially some that's going to hold my facility down, or I can just kill it altogether. But I'm always going to be an influence, you know. But the next generation of Marinovich guys, I saw something happen. A guy hit it big, got on the right show, hit it big, and it really should have been Gary, and it was this guy instead. And everybody went and followed this guy and thought that he was the Marinovich guru, and he wasn't. And he got greedy, and he started charging people to come and learn. And he charged them a very, like, in hindsight, I thought it was a lot of money, but in hindsight, I'm like, that was a very small amount of money. And these people went out and got certifications, and they thought they were good trainers, and they weren't. They were terrible. Just like I was for the first 5 years or 6 years. You see what I mean? And they thought they were like certified guys. They thought they were really good at this. And then they start coming and seeing, and then my page popped up. And then they were like, oh shit, we're behind. What the fuck is this?
Yeah.
You see what I mean? And the issue becomes, somebody has to look at your work. I don't give a damn how smart you are. You have to have a teacher to check your work and tell you, look, you got to do this and this and this and this and this better. That's the only way to get good at this. You can't hide from somebody telling you that shit and that's good. And you're never going to get there. If you keep self-criticizing yourself, you're never going to get there.
Yeah.
You got to have eyes on you. And that's the biggest thing, is show your work. And I can tell you what's wrong. Because I look at my page and there's stuff wrong on there. Y'all just don't know it. But it's stuff on there, I'm like, oh shit, that was wrong. Especially with somebody who's working on social media, because they're learning, and like sometimes they miss things that I wouldn't have posted. And so the other day I see the guy throwing a machine up, and he wasn't, one hand was going and the other one wasn't.
I see it. I pick myself apart, because I only post like my
Yourself.
own stuff. Yeah, myself. And so I'll be analyzing I'll be like, oh man. But you know,
but get two sets of eyes. You know what I mean? Because what it always says, the Bible says, it says, on the mouth of 2 or 3 is every word established. So, you're one person, you can't trust that. See, I put my work out there, so people are looking at it, and I'm not perfect. I'm not. Like, I'll talk to Gary, say, Brian, I saw something on your page. I'm like, oh shit. But he's right. He's always right.
Yeah.
He's always right, and I love that about Gary Marinovich.
Yeah.
You know, he just wants the shit done right. He
Right.
hadn't made millions of dollars off
Mhm.
of it. You know what I mean? But he wants the shit done right because his brother, this is his life's work. And I think
I mean,
that
it's a damn
people,
shame at that too, though.
huh?
It's a damn shame at that. It's a damn shame at that that this isn't like this isn't as big as as it should be. Like realistically, I mean, when I remember when I first saw Troy Polamalu doing this back in like 2017, that's when I
Right,
first saw the videos, and I was like, "That's undeniable. That's
right,
undeniable."
right. Um, the Marinoviches, they're not going to shortchange themselves for anybody.
Hmm.
They are prideful people. They're extremely intelligent. They're the best at their system in this system. I've never said I was better than Gary Marinovich. You know what I mean? Like me saying that is like me going to my dad and saying I'm a better man than you. That's how I look at that. I don't even compare it. Like if I say it, I was the best in the world, Gary's God. You get what I'm saying? I'm just comparing myself to everybody else. I don't even compare the situation, and his brain is always working. And so you have to be very careful. That's what happened with a lot of these guys. They start thinking, oh, the student is better than the master. You know, every time I go with Gary, I get a little bit of an ass whooping. So I know I'm not better than the master, and it's not the goal of mine to be better than master. And to be honest with you, if it was a gig I thought I was going to get, it was going to be really big. It may be still on the table. If I get that gig and it's going to be a high paying gig, I'm going to take a portion of my money. I'm going to bring Gary on because I think Gary should be involved in something that big if somebody's going to commit to this system. And I mean, it's a big. It'll be a big deal.
Nice.
So yeah, I hope that happens. I'd love to train with him for a whole training camp or something like that. But like I said, I could go and take that gig all by myself and say, hey, look what I did, you know. But I don't want that. I want the best outcome for the system.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And in the end of the day, that's what makes the result. It's not you. It's the
Right.
system. It's the principles, and like you want the
Right.
best eyes on it.
Brett, you may get one you guys or Brett, you may get hell the next John Bones Jones. You know what I mean? Like, why not have an extra set of eyes in there? He's your guy. You know what I mean?
100%.
I don't do work like that. Like I don't take people's athletes. Like it's one of those things. I had a track guy in Houston. He thought I was trying to take his athletes. I'm like, dude, you know I'm not a track guy, right? Like I'm a biomechanics specialist. You know what I mean? I come in and help you with things to help what you do. Like that's not my thing. So it takes a village. And when you're dealing with high level guys, you know, I have a fascia guy here in Houston. I sent everybody to that one fascia guy. You know what I mean? I
Mhm.
have I sent Siobhan to a running guy that I'm smelling out to see if this guy works, then I'll send all of my running guys to that person. I don't have time to micromanage what everybody's doing outside of Pow3rplus. You know, I'll do work with them. I'll go to the track and do some things with them, but I'm not Tony Holler. If Tony Holler was there, everybody be going to Tony. You
Yeah.
know?
There's a book I really like called The Governing Dynamics of Coaching from James Smith, and he talks about that about unifying all of the different aspects of physical preparation.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you guys are on separate teams, it's like a battle for no reason. The whole objective is to develop the athlete.
Right, right. And so even meeting all the guys at Under Armour, the met some pretty exceptional guys. I'm not gonna just say everybody's name because I don't know what or what not supposed to be exposed, but I met some exceptional trainers and some exceptional nutritionists and life coaches and breath coaches and shit, even the goddamn chefs were great. Like
Oh
that
yeah.
were there, like
Oh
we had chefs there. So it was unbelievable. But I mean, everybody brought, I mean, the videographer, I mean, it was just a very good situation. We all did the same stuff. We all went to the mountains, we all did all this stuff. Um, but it was unbelievable experience to see everybody kind of in coordination with each other and for the good of one athlete.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
we
Exactly.
had a dinner table of 10 people. I barely talked about my training
Right.
the whole time. You know what I mean? I was listening, picking up things. They've offered it, like, give me some of their evaluation tools. I mean, just great guys.
Yeah.
So sometimes you gotta know when to shut up.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they were saying,
100%.
like, when I came, they thought I was something different. Like, they thought I was, and I think that's, my team's been pushing me to be more of a personality, like I am, and actually go on and do more podcasts or start our own podcasts and things like that. And reason why is because if you just look at me, I can just look like a social media prick that thinks he knows everything. But if you understand the love I really have, because first I'm an educator. I didn't start off coming out of college and go train. I
Right.
started out as a teacher,
Right.
and from there, this happened. So I was 13 years in the game teaching. And
You're also a pretty funny dude. Me and Andrew say
yeah,
unintentionally pretty funny.
I'm pretty
Hey,
intentional sometimes
damn,
too. So.
Man, I gotta say this, man. I gotta say it. I didn't know it was gonna come up. There's a video on your YouTube
uh,
where you're writing on a whiteboard. It's the funniest video I've ever seen. You're writing on the whiteboard, and you're like writing like this.
oh yeah, shit, I can't remember the damn. I did that when I was teaching.
You were like,
Yeah,
you were just
yeah,
like, you
yeah.
just give up on like spelling. It was like
yeah,
functionality,
Brian,
like
what's
funk.
funny about you is the long form content would be amazing because you're like unintentionally funny.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it was so funny.
Unintentionally funny, so the long form content would
yeah,
kill.
yeah,
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
like
yeah.
you just have a class with Coach Brian and you spend like 10 minutes laughing and you gotta rewind
Yeah,
and watch
I
again.
mean that's literally how I taught in school. So like I remember at one point, and I taught the fun class too. So I was teaching team leadership.
yeah.
So I was getting teacher of the month every month. Right. So like the teachers were getting pissed off because the kids were voting on it. And I'm pretty sure like the principals like stopped counting my votes at one point so other teachers could win. They're like,
Yeah.
the only reason he's winning teacher of the month because he doesn't do shit. And the kids like so like, well shit, that's part of the reason I'm here. I mean, like,
Yeah. Oh my
so
God.
don't get mad at me because of that. But the thing is, from that though, you build a trust with people you can talk to about anything. When they
100%.
when they see your vulnerabilities, you know what I mean?
Well, and
They
it's
they feel like,
multiple
oh, he's
ways
just a
to
human.
it's multiple ways to deliver the message.
Right.
Right? You got to have multiple ways to deliver that because especially with athletes, because some people may need some kind of like roasting, and some people may need some
Right.
positive,
Right.
feedback, and everybody has these different triggers in them.
Right. Right. I had somebody like mocking me today, NFL guy. I was like, "You're a corny bastard." You know that? Like everybody kind of bust out laughing. They wouldn't expect me to say that. I was like, "You're a corny ass bastard." You know that? So like, I could say anything at any time in the gym. So,
Exactly.
but it's yeah. I mean, I think that's a big part of it because some people come in, it's like they think they're training with God or something. I'm just like, dude, I'm just a regular ass guy. Like,
Yeah,
like I am. I don't really look at it like that.
100%.
I'm just trying to do a great job and help change a life.
Yeah, 100%. That book, Outsmart Reality, is that by Sarah Sage?
That's by Neuro Knowledge.
By
He's a YouTuber. He's a big YouTuber right now.
Neuro Knowledge.
He brand new.
What's like
Oh,
his
I,
like
I
actual
found it.
name?
Brian, I'll
Oh,
send you the
okay, yeah,
link. I
send it to
found
me.
it.
We always
Yeah,
talk about books on here. We'll even do like a episode where we just are a part of an episode where we just go about on the books that we read.
dude is funny as hell. His
Okay.
page just recently blew up.
Okay,
He
yeah.
is, he is, but he's exceptionally smart. He's only 23.
I'm gonna have to look at that
I
for
will
sure.
say, Brian, one thing that is surprising because I mean, yeah, I met you at the Uberzadi event, but like we haven't really kept much in contact. Is how like real you are. Like you're not like you're like chill. You know what I mean? You're very chill.
Yeah,
It's just like you really show that you love what you're doing. It's like this is like if you were gonna watch TV, you'd rather be learning about this. You'd be watching film. It's like okay, it's like is the foot hitting? Is like the toes hitting? Like it looks
right,
like you
right.
truly enjoy this. It's not like just like oh, I'm trying to be right. No, it's like I love this.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think being right is relative to being right. Like
Right.
it's whatever a person believes is right is ultimately going to be right in their own mind. So I don't need to sit there and prove anything to anybody. As long as it's right for the people I'm coming in contact with, that's all that really matters, you know? And so I used to sit there and look at comments and shit like that. Like, dude, like, you remember when you have to look back, like, dude, you remember when you had 6,000 followers? Remember how frustrating that shit was? And you worry about negative comments, at least it's comments,
Yeah.
you know? So
Especially with
it's
this
all
trend,
funny
the
to me. Now
comments.
it's all beautiful now. It's like, man, watch your life manifest right in front of your eyes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And live it and be in the moment, man, and enjoy it. Cause it's gonna happen for y'all too. And when it happens, like people sitting there trying to fight battles in the comments, like, dude, I'm worried about the next video. I'm worried
Yeah.
about the next day of training. I'm worried about, like, what the hell? I'm gonna sit there, yo, dude, you just don't know anything. Yeah. And then somebody goes, oh, you don't know anything either. Yeah. Oh man, I went to school for 87 years and I learned it. And like, dude, I'm not getting that shit. Like, I got things at the house to do. I got a business to run. Like, I mean, like, people are crazy.
People have no idea either. They have no idea
Right,
what
so
they're
go
talking
a
about.
little bit into the business side of things because like that's a whole different avenue. Like, have you had to pivot at all, like in terms of your thinking when it started becoming a real business?
Dude, yeah, hell yeah. I mean, like, I got a business partner actually. But like I say, he's all back page stuff. Yeah, we've
Mhm.
screwed up a lot. Like, that's business. Like,
Yeah.
we've done a 0.15 3 or 4 different ways. We've um I mean, like, yeah, it's part of it. I mean, but everybody I've talked to as successful business went through the same growing pains. So I don't feel like I should do anything. It should be any different for us. But it is a learning experience. And even right now, we're transitioning our system into another system. That's going to be a lot more affordable. But I told my team, like, I know people are doing niche stuff. Like, I watched the guy grow his page using AI, right? And he used AI and basically blew up, made him look like a guru, right? But at the end of the day, he gonna still have to get out there and talk, and people are gonna
Mhm.
have to like him and believe in him and
Yeah.
trust in him in some point. You know what I mean? And or not, or
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
It's just gonna go
But
one way
but
or
if
the
you
other.
really want to get on the big stage, bro, like, dog, like this dude I just worked with, man, he had to fly me down there twice, smell me out, bring me around his wife and kids. Dude, you can't fake that. And then be good.
Mhm.
And then brought 3 of his friends that are playing high level professional soccer too. And I got one of them that's gonna work with me now. So like, you can't fake that. You can't fake that. That's not something that you can AI or think. It's real people, man. This dude, like, is looking at his career and saying, this guy could change my life. And his friend said the same thing, and his wife and kids say the same thing. And then his rep came, the guy who does most of his social work, and he told him, he's like, you better lock that guy in.
Yeah. This will
He said, you
never.
better lock him in because he gonna have options.
This will
And this dude didn't even know who I was. He was like, you better, like, he was around me one day and said that.
this will never be replaced by AI.
Nah,
No shot.
no. So you're gonna have to get out here and you're gonna have to win.
Yep.
Bottom line,
And
you're
you
gonna have
know
to
what the
win.
truth is? Like one of the most real truths about all this is like you can't take a robot, you can't take just a video observation and give that to the athlete. You need that
No,
relationship.
you
You need that
you need
person to
emotion.
person.
Great. That's what I'm pretty sure I'm severely ADHD, and I don't know. I might even be a little dyslexic. I don't know. I don't give a shit at this point. But I'll say this: I've always had extreme amounts of emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
Mm.
You know what I mean? I was kind of dude who could talk a teacher into giving me a C or B. Like, I've had extreme amounts of emotional intelligence. I know it makes everybody tick. When I coached, I know it made everybody tick.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I knew when to get on people's asses. Most coaches get on people's asses when they're losing. I'm like, well, shit, why are we doing that? They're already beat the hell up. Like, this is where we build them up. And
Right.
then when they winning, I'm the
Mhm.
biggest asshole in the world.
Right.
Like, you gave
100%.
up 2 first downs. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
team doesn't even know a running back, like shit like that. I'm just nitpicking all goddamn week, right?
Yeah.
right? Because I know where they have to be to become a champion. And so if you don't understand people, you're not going to be a good teacher. The best teachers are not usually A students. The best teachers are people that went through ups and downs. The best coaches are usually not the best player. They're usually the player that had to deal with a lot of adversity and learn and readjust because they can understand and empathize more with the players. When you're real good, you can't empathize why somebody can't hit a fucking free throw. You see what I mean?
Yeah,
When you're real
just did
good, you
it.
can't empathize with somebody who can't run fast. When you're real good, you can't empathize with somebody who can't hit a 99 mile per hour fastball. You know what I mean? You can't empathize. You've never been there. You've always been the guy who can hit that pitch. You know what I mean? So it's hard to teach people when you only understand one way.
Yeah.
That's why you don't see a whole lot of great players that are great coaches, or great or super smart people that are great teachers.
Yeah. 100%.
So
100%.
that brings into another question. And we also want to be wary of your time. So
Yeah.
you let us
Yeah.
know whenever you need to be need to be on out. But
Bro.
another thing too, another question is like, do the best coaches come from athletes, or is it somebody who's good at observing?
I think that's a good question. Yeah, I don't know anymore. I mean, like, yeah, I think you need somebody that understands the environment for sure. Um, but I'll tell you what, like, I'll say this, I'm gonna give away who I'm talking about. But I'll put it like this. I was in a very stressful situation a couple years ago. Like, I'm not gonna say what sport, what athlete, just a super stressful situation. And I watched a lot of things, and I watched ex-players coach somebody in their environment that they've been, and they were better. One of them was better than the actual player, and these guys coached them, and I was like, damn, they know a lot about this. And then an analytics team came out and started coaching them, and I saw a guy walk out there one day and and coached this dude for 30 minutes and did more work in that 30 minutes than they did the entire time period that they were dealing with him. Right. And so I was looking at this like, oh shit. And the analytics guys were talking to me and they were like, this is the problem. You got too many players that are coaching. You don't have enough coaches that are coaching. And I was like, shit, you're right. Some players are coaches, but most aren't. Think about your teams. Who would you trust to coach your kid if
Right.
you could think about all your teammates?
100%.
I'm gonna be
Very
honest with you.
few.
I can barely think of anybody besides myself. And I'm not being an asshole. I'm just being like, I'm being honest. You know what I mean? Like I could think of not too many, especially like in college, other than myself. Actually, I have one other teammate, a guy named Jake Gibson, and he's coaching right now. And I send him people every now and then. And that was the only guy in college I would have thought of that would have been that guy too.
Yeah, I mean, I
You see?
definitely like when I think about it, it was the best coaches come from the people that they had to go through the struggle. They had to understand it. They had to understand it really.
The
And
best
like and
coaches are the best problem solvers.
Yeah.
yeah, that's the truth.
That's what we're doing. That's why I'm telling you, you can have 101 tools, but if you don't have timing, you don't know when to use them, you don't understand the scenario you need to use them, and you don't know the scenario you need to throw them away and not use them, you're not going to be very good. That's hard. That's hard as hell to teach anybody. That's why you got to have talent. Right? There have been weeks where I don't use any cones. But you see cones every day on my page, every week on my page. There's been weeks where I don't use cones. There's been weeks where I didn't jump train. There's been weeks where I didn't use the cat. You know? But it's really comes down to how do you problem solve? And that comes with bodies. And that comes with talent. You need both. You need talent and you need bodies. You got to fuck up. Fascia.
Yeah.
Every fascia guy I deal with, they've had at least 10 years. And they say the same thing. How do you get good at this? Well, I just dealt with a lot of bodies, felt a lot of different bodies. So in my eyes, I'm not going to take 10 years to learn fascia. I'm going to go find out what this stuff's about and find the best guy to bring in or to help train maybe somebody that I'm dealing with. But you don't have, like, I don't have 10 years. I don't even know what I'll be doing in 10 years. I don't have 10 years to learn fascia. Like, I'm gonna read maybe one book, get an understanding, and surround myself with people that understand fascia. I don't have 10 years to get rich. I'm gonna read a couple books, and then I'm gonna put myself in the right room with the people that are rich. I didn't have time to read. I've never read Marv's book. I went straight to Gary. I said, do I need the book? He's like, no, you got me. Do I need a bunch of Yuri Vogashansky's book? No, you got me. We read all those.
Right.
You know what I mean? Now I am going to go back and do that. I'm going to get a couple of Yuri's books. And I've looked up Yuri's stuff online, things like that. But I'm going to go get a couple of books because there's some baseline science I actually want to challenge even with him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh,
You
yeah.
see
A
what I
lot of
mean?
this stuff can be
So
challenged.
that's the only reason I want it. But,
Oh, yeah.
but yeah,
There's a book out there that I found, and it's very interesting. I told Andrew if whenever I see you, I was going to give it to you. You may have it. It's called Explosive Power and Jumping Ability for Athletes.
I think I've seen that one. Yeah.
It's by Starzinski.
Uh-huh.
And it was incredible because I think this book was published in the 70s, something like
Right.
that.
Right. Yuri's
And
too.
yeah, exactly. And it was like right along the line, like almost a book of the Marinovich training,
Right.
um, of
Um,
your training.
but a lot of Yuri stuff is wrong. See, I never say things about that.
For
We
sure.
know
Oh,
we know
yeah.
that. We know that. Like you hear people like always Yuri. Bro, like man, Gary always says, like, man, Yuri wrote that shit in the 60s and 70s, dog. Like that shit is outdated.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
if it's
You
still
see what I
right,
mean?
that means he was. If it's still right, that means he wasn't complete because then people weren't able to learn
His
and better it.
well, his principle. The problem is everybody missed the principle. See, there was a big problem because everybody took the jump training literal.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? And it
With
became a
the
jumping
method,
system.
yeah,
And it's not a jumping system. You know what I mean? This is what I'm trying to get people to understand.
right.
We've defined, go look up the definition of plyometrics. We've defined it wrong. It says it's deemed as jump training. And
Right.
it's deemed as jump training because somebody was falling off a damn box. And that's how they figured out that if you add an extra stimuli to the eccentric load, then it will catapult the athlete if it's reversed fast enough.
Right.
You see what I
Yeah.
mean? That's
Yeah.
why it's deemed jump training.
Right.
It's
It
not
says
jump training. Throwing
for
a
the
baseball is plyometric.
for the
Running
audience,
is
exactly.
plyometric.
For the
Right.
audience listening, the definition of plyometric is a type of exercise that involves rapid and explosive movement.
Right. And in that rapid movement, nobody knows the time frame. So I
Right.
get guys out there like, man, look at plyometrics back in the 80s and 70s. This is enough for the athlete to sustain himself as a great plyo athlete. See, these guys were good, and your guys can do these. Don't listen to all these guys, all this niche stuff, you know? Like, dude, like, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. What are you talking about? You don't know what
I
you're
mean,
talking
like,
about. How does something, you're telling me people hitting the ball, people swinging a goddamn bat the same way as Ted Williams? He wrote that book about squishing a bug, and everybody knew that was bullshit. And
Right.
everybody was squishing the bug for years. And guess what happened? They were screwing their swings up. And softball took it the most literal, and they were the worst hitting. Softball was dominated by pitchers up until about 15 years ago. They were terrible hitters. Terrible. Because they were all doing a squish the bug fallback. Then somebody came in and was like, let's start swinging like the baseball guys. Well, guess what? 20 years before that, the guy who created the lead arm swing, Charlie Lau, his son, who trained Alice Rodriguez, who I learned from a guy, Jesse Barfoot, who learned from Charlie Lau, learned from Cito Gaston. Cito Gaston learned from Charlie Lau Sr. But he had a book that came out, the junior, and he prophesized in this book back in 2000. If softball would just change the baseball swing, they would have better results than the actual baseball players. Now look at college baseball. How many pitchers you know? Hardly any. 20 years ago,
None.
Cat Osterman,
Yeah.
what's the other girl? The big girl, Monica Abbott. Man, you just knew 3 or 4 people. You didn't even know who the hitters were. And I was telling people then in 2000, I was like, dude, if y'all, I was telling softball girls, y'all just switch that way we swing, you be killing the ball. And now everybody's doing it.
Yeah,
You see what
100%.
I mean?
And then another thing with that too, with the principle is like people take the exercise that was done in the study
That's
for the
that's
life
the
of them
problem.
too. And that's what you're
That's
talking
the
about with the
problem.
jumps, but it also with the lifting and the other exercises
They're
that they do.
outdated. The
It's
techniques are outdated.
100%.
That's the problem. They don't know the principle, and the techniques are outdated. Those are not good drills anymore. And here's the other thing: you can't jump train but like once a week. After
Right.
that, it works against you. There's a
Mhm.
lot of underlying things people don't know. So you know, you're dealing with talking heads that sound very intelligent and are not smart. You can be intelligent and not smart.
Yeah. Yeah, common sense.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
smart in the end of the day is the practicality of the knowledge.
Right.
There's
Right.
another quote that I use a lot, and it goes like it's right along the lines of what we're saying. It's as to methods, there may be a million and then some, but principles are few. The man
Right.
who can grasp principles can successfully select his own methods,
That's great.
but the man who tries methods ignoring principles is sure to have trouble.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%.
Yep.
Hey, I mean, and that's the truth. Like we can't look at something 20, 30 years ago and be like, that's gonna work for all time. I mean, it's
That's
everything
insane when
is
you think about
changing.
it. That's insane. I mean, that's like take every sport. Like hitters don't hit like they did 30, 40 years ago. Basketball players don't shoot like they did 30 or 40 years ago. Things
The speed of
evolve.
the
So
game,
yeah.
the
And
speed of the
so
game is
for
just
you to sit there
absolutely.
and say that, I've seen like several trainers say that. And it's because they don't know. So if you don't know how to evolve it, of course you don't tell other people don't evolve it. But I know what I'm
Right.
doing.
Well, and then you get down the lines of the people who start to actually make fun and talk down on it with no understanding as to
Right.
what's actually
You
happening.
don't even know how we structure that workout. You're looking at
Right.
a drill that I might do for 2 minutes, literally, and
Right.
post it.
Right.
Literally. You don't know what the hell I'm doing. People running on concrete. Oh, you got those athletes running on concrete, you're gonna kill their shins. Oh my God. Like, we train our feet. I ain't had shin splints in my gym in 10 years. Or well, not 10 years, but probably 6 or 7 years.
Right.
Like I can't honestly ever remember too many times somebody got shin. Maybe Alex a few years ago, maybe 5 years ago, for a little while. Like that doesn't happen.
While we're on the topic of like evolution of training, right? There's going to be a lot of fighters that are watching this that I work with, and other individuals. There's going to be a lot of people listening to this that are competing in martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
Just briefly, like just talk about the old school methods, the conditioning, the road work, the mental toughness, the high lactic workloads, versus what we're proposing here with your system, and why it's effective.
Yeah, I think
Just a
the
brief,
first thing,
obviously we're not going to go into nothing too deep, but just a general overview.
yeah, I think 3 things need to be looked at extremely close when you have a team affiliated with an athlete, right? And I think like this is just for well-rounded health also, right? Um, Number one, how much sparring is going to be involved in a camp, and how much sparring is actually needed. You're not losing. You're not losing in the fight. You're losing in sparring. People think that doing sparring, a bunch of sparring, makes you better, but that's not how it works. Practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. One of the things the Marinoviches did with BJ Penn was they reduced the sparring. That's why they ended up having to lead the camp. You know what I mean? Because what happened was the team wanted to spar more, and the Marinovich took the sparring away. Well, BJ looked like an animal. for 2 championship belts because they took it away. They took it away and reduced. And from what I heard, BJ Penn's brother came to my gym one time to watch me train, and he was telling us a bunch of stuff. And I'm not gonna say everything. He was saying he's a great guy, JD Penn, but he was saying that man, BJ would be sparring, grappling, and Marv would step in and like cut it. Just like we cut the drills. If BJ started tiring, he cut it, he had to rest, and then he had to start over. Because the quality is the key. The quality of the rep is the key. If you conditioning for 20 minutes, but you running 60% of the damn reps are at 70%, what good is that doing you? You're just getting better at 70%. You want to be a 70% fighter? But if you took that same athlete and said, we're going to run 3 minutes today, in that 3 minutes, you may get 3 100s with an active recovery. But I need that 3 reps to be at 90%. And then next week, we'll try to get maybe 4. And then next week, maybe 5. And then you're starting to get in some shape with everything, and maybe we'll go up to 7, and then 10, and then 12. But what's happening here? The athlete is building a confidence, first of all, in his running. They're going to start asking you, can we do more? You see what I mean? Now you got them because they actually want to run. You see what I mean? Nobody likes running. I don't give a shit who you are. Nobody wants to condition, right? So when the athletes start asking you that, or like, what time? How much time? I think I can go another round. You got it, right? Because they're going to give you their all. So I don't need a 70% rep running. That's asinine. Can you imagine training an Olympic 100-meter runner at 70% every day? Right?
You know what's interesting? I can't wait for this stuff to like truly get out to the masses. So like neurological people, like the neuroscientists could start studying this,
Right.
because it's like all
Right.
of what you're saying is like you're conditioning the brain more so, like you're conditioning the body to condition the brain to be like, we know 100%, we're gonna go 100%.
Right. And that's why you got to reduce sparring. Because what are you doing in sparring? You think that doesn't have an effect on you?
Huge.
Roy Jones or somebody like that. I don't know if it was Roy Jones. Somebody was talking about that recently. They say boxers spar too much. He said, I don't care if you got headgear on. If you getting hit in your head, you getting hit in your head. And you're going to start slowing down. And whoever it was, they were talking about how they would go in and they were sparring with certain people, and they were sparring. Oh, man, I got to find that. They were sparring with somebody like 5 years prior. And this dude was like just lightning, right? Reactive. Every time you throw a jab at him, he's slipping it, right? He said he went back like 5 years later. Guy was a sparring junkie. He went back like 5 years later. It was like he couldn't stop hitting him. He wasn't slipping anything. He's like, neurologically, this guy had slowed down so much, it was ridiculous. You can't take shots like that. It has to be a better way. Same thing in football. When I played football, man, we just hit till you couldn't hit anymore. Man, you can't do that shit anymore. They barely tackle in practice now. You know what I mean? But what's happening? Guys are making it into their 30s and 40s now playing football. You know what I mean? Quarterbacks. You got almost every quarterback can last to their 40 now. You know, like running backs are lasting longer, and you have more running backs, you know, in the league. You have like people are lasting longer. So people are not getting beat in the game. People are getting beat in practice. Other thing, in a college and high school setting, there's no rest days.
Crazy.
These are amateurs. Oh, they're young. They'll be all right. No, they're cattle. That's why you're saying they'll be all right. They're cattle. And you're insecure, so you can't give them a day off because you feel like you missed this one day of work that the athlete are going to miss this great grand scheme you're going to come up with, right? The athletes should be on 1 or 2 days, 3 days, and off a day. On 2 days, off a day. That's how it should run. Athletes should not be in there 6 days a week. I have NFL athletes, and they can't train that much. They train 5 days max.
100%. I figured that out. I don't want to say on my own, but I was come from Charlie Francis stuff back to his stuff again. He went with the high-low CNS split, and I started trying that out with the alternating one day off. But I found that guys could do 2-3 days and then take that rest day.
Bro, by day 3, you're like,
Yeah, but day 3, you gotta. It's not
that's
gonna
why
work.
like top end speed work, it's hard to get in.
Yeah,
You're only really gonna have one day, maybe a week. And if trying to get 2 of them in is really, you gotta really know how to manipulate.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Because Monday is it, like for me, like they're gonna be off most of the weekend. We get one day to work on top end speed. So I've been focusing more on that than I have the plyometrics because I only get one day a week to do it. So Monday I have to get them on a track. They're pretty much downhill. They're kind of like this the rest of the week. You know what I mean? With a day of rest.
I always say like what separates somebody is the speed component. And so like the determining factor isn't, especially going back to fighters, it's not about who can go slow the longest. It's about who can sustain speed the longest, right?
Right.
That explosive power.
Right.
So
Right.
Yeah, and I mean,
To me, it'd be better. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I mean, it's like in swimming too. Like for the 200 guys, they're really training them that top end speed and training the endurance of keeping that easy speed, keeping
Right.
the easy speed. And like for the 100 and 200, you have to be really good at staying at close to 100%, but not getting
Right.
to that, not getting tired in it.
Right. But for a long time, what people would do with any endurance athlete, to create endurance, they think you have to run over the race. And that's,
Yeah.
to me, that's one of the worst things you can do. Like, one of the worst things you can do is train a 400-meter runner in the 400.
You train them at 100-meter segments.
Or 200 max.
Yeah.
That's Tony Holler, I don't think goes over a 250. And he's been saying people are overrunning those athletes. And I was doing it one time. I was helping 400-meter runners out, running. I'm like, run the 400, run the 500. Couldn't barely budge their fucking times. We running the shit out of them. All right, repeats now. They went even no faster. It was barely budging. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Right.
They're
And I mean,
they're
like
slower.
in the mind, it makes sense. It's like if I have to do 100, if I could do a 200 on the regular, no problem, then I should do
Right.
100, no problem.
Right.
But
Right.
it's like the more you break it down and the more you get into it, and like you as a coach, you're noticing these patterns over your
Right.
athletes. You're like, okay, wait, if I push them too much, that actually teaches them that when they're getting towards the end of the race, oh, I'm slowing down because I'm locked up. Like my brain just knows I'm
Yeah.
locked up.
Tony Holler talked about it at the meeting. He was talking about, basically this one girl I deal with now. We figured it out. She been in Pow3rplus for almost 7 years. She's at a pretty big school now. I can't talk about it because they don't like me. But she's at a pretty big school. And when I met her, she was an 8th grader or 7th grader, and she started training me in the 8th grade. And I was like, oh, she got a little talent. And I barely got on her track at all. She was playing basketball at the time. She's new to sports, you know what I mean? And we got her in and she started working with us. I think I might have took her to the track once to work on some form. She goes in, first meet runs like 12.9, right? I'm like, oh shit, like she might have some talent. Like first year in high school, she makes varsity. She's only running track like 2 years. First year in high school, she makes varsity. You know what they do to her? Since she's a freshman, a little underdeveloped, probably wasn't going to win any varsity meets. You know what the coach did? Put her
1,500.
Ran her in the mile to get her prepared for the 400. Then put her in the 400. The girl never got past 12.8. No, 12.5 in high school. She should have dropped at least 1 second in 4 years. But they made her a 400-meter runner. She was never really supposed to be a 400. She could have dropped, by her junior year, she would have been an 11.8 runner if they'd have kept her in 100 and let her run hard and let her run fast. She would have developed into it. She was very new to the sport too. So her window, it was very high. Right. But they put her into something that paced based on the 400. You're pacing compared to the 100. You killed her. And so now she's running a short distance event and now she needs the top end speed in the short distance events now. And so we're having to start all the way over. I don't let her run anything more than 60, 50 meters because she got to get back to being explosive there.
Mm-hmm.
And
So
so
how would you deal with the long distance runner then?
shit. How long?
So if we're talking like a 400, 500, like are they getting into the same the same training techniques? Are we still talking about 0.15 for a 1500 guy?
I think you have to look at that. Yeah, I think you have to look at. I think you at least have to have data on it. Like if your 100-meter time goes down, that's telling you a lot of things about yourself. You know, it's telling you my nervous system is down. So that would still be a part of my protocols for somebody like that. Not to say they won't run their race, but I think that they need to run similar. I think they need to run similar to how we would train the 400-meter runner. I think it needs to go. Now, I don't know what that looks like exactly, but I think training under the race and being the most explosive 1500 runner is the key. Not the best at the 1500, and if that makes sense. Because I think being the most explosive 1500 run will eventually lead that person into being the best 1500 runner. You see what I mean? Like, who wants a slow ass 200-meter runner? Who wants a 200-meter runner that's slow at the 100?
Right.
Like,
That's
you're
always
not
been
going
I
to
the
win.
use
big
that too.
debate.
I heard.
That's always been the big debate is
Paulus
who
saying that.
wins the 200,
Like,
the 400 guy or the 100 guy?
I told
It's
Siobhan, I was like,
always that
Siobhan, we're
debate.
not running. What do we need to run the 200 for you if your 100 sucks? Like, you're not going anywhere. We're wasting time. Nobody wants a 200-meter runner that's slow at the 100.
100%.
No, you don't want to.
You already, that's it. So why waste time on that shit? Like, people have to, and this is the problem. Like, and track guys have so much ego. It's so weird to do something so simple. Like,
Would you say
running is the simplest thing. It's the simple, and Tony Holler is showing people this, and they don't like him. You know what I mean? Tony's smart because he does less.
You
Like,
say you can spot a pioneer because he's the one that has all the arrows in his back.
right.
The
Right.
I have a question.
You got a million of those quotes.
Bro, I read books all day. I was gonna dude, that's all I do, bro. I read books, I write quotes, and
I love
it
that.
works because I'll make it my own, and then
Yeah, I love it.
I always have something I could relate to somebody. Nah, but what was I gonna say? Man, it got me right there. It kind of got me. I was gonna say maybe not for a track runner, but maybe for like a fighter, right?
Right.
Or someone who needs some capacity in their training. What do you make of doing like an aerobic, low intensity, long duration workout? If we're looking at energy systems, the aerobic capacity, that energy
Right.
system for like a recovery workout. Like for example, doing on a low intensity day, doing something like a 30-minute consistent shadow box or a 45-minute consistent shadow box. Like we're not doing 100%. We're not firing that.
Yeah.
A
I
recovery
mean,
day. It's written in the program as a recovery day.
so what are they gonna do after the recovery day?
Come in and train hard.
There's no recovery. You know what I mean? I think a recovery day means I'm gonna answer that though. I think a recovery day means you do shit.
Do nothing at all.
Really?
You don't even get worked on. You don't even get worked on your body.
Right.
I
So
think
you're talking about
recovery
full
means
nervous
clear your
system
mind.
shutdown. You're talking about
Clear
the
your
nervous
mind. Don't
system.
think about fighting. Don't do shit. See,
Hmm.
because you're still spiking cortisol if you got
Mhm.
things to do.
Yeah.
Like, I feel stressed out today when I woke up a little bit. Like, damn, I got to get up at 7-something o'clock and work with these guys because they got to go to OTA, or go back to camp in a few weeks. And it should be my weekend off. Oh shit, I got to do a podcast today too. Oh shit, I got to call the guys in Europe before this time because I'm 7 hours. Oh shit, I got stress. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and I can't wait for tomorrow. And I got 3 or 4 guys calling about doing something tomorrow. You see what I mean? And I'm thinking about that shit right now. My cortisol saying, when are you gonna take a day off, buddy?
Right.
Completely, like nothing. I have nothing to think about. You know, like you ever had a 9 to 5 and you knew like after the weekend you had to go to work on Monday and that stress level on Sunday? You would have, that's what you're doing to the athletes.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? They have to have complete days of rest. So like I urge my guys, when you're going to have a rest day, get worked on the day before the rest day. Don't get worked on the day of the rest day. Because you still got to get this guy to come out there or go to him. You got to get worked on. They may be sticking elbows in you and shit. And you're like, oh, I recovered yesterday. No, you didn't. You got stressed out yesterday.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
No, that's interesting. That's interesting because in the world of swimming, I don't know if you know, I don't know if you've heard of much about Michael Phelps's training, but he didn't take a day off for 8+ years.
I know, but that's Michael
And for
Phelps.
us, yeah, I mean, for us, like in college, we were training 7 days a week.
Yeah,
We were training
I think
7 days a week, multiple times a day. Like
the worst person to compare yourself to is a generational athlete.
that's the truth.
That's the worst example. Give me somebody that sucked and then made himself good. Okay, like that's the worst. I don't listen to no generational athletes. You know what I mean? Like it's rare I do. Kobe Bryant, those crazy workouts and all. Dude, I'm not listening to that shit. I'm not basing that on him. He's that dude's mind is psychotic. You get what I'm saying? Those guys are psychos. It works for them. But how many psychos do you know? I ain't never met a Kobe Bryant in person. I don't know anybody like that. You know what I mean? I thought I was pretty psychotic about not like that. I ain't never met nobody like that.
Well,
In person. Not somebody I've been around, like actually been in a training environment. I've never been around anybody like that. It's rare. So to take these type A personalities that are like 1%ers and make systems off of that is crazy as hell.
Yeah, that makes sense.
100%.
You know? So you have to start testing your athletes. Now that shit's been working for us. So I've been giving them I've been doing that. Siobhan, she's been healthy the whole year. Siobhan has not been healthy in almost 4 years. I've had athletes come in have not been healthy in 6, 7 years. I am not lying. Like catastrophic injuries every year. This is the first time they've been healthy for 4 months, 5 months. And this is what we've been doing. So I'm looking at the shit. I ain't stopping because it's working. So I think that they need at least 2 days off a week. I think 5 days should be the max you train. And I think even in that, you got to start seeing where the nervous system starts saying, I had a guy come in today. I said, why are you here? This is your 4th day. This is the way he's been working his whole life. I said, yeah, this is why you keep having hamstring injuries.
So would you say it's better, right? So I use
Send his ass home.
I use the aerobic idea, like recovery, right? Would you say it's better for and obviously like it wouldn't be recovery, but it would be better to come in, because these guys want to move. They want to move. Would it be better to come in and just spend 10 minutes and do some intense work and then just go home rather than
I think you need to put your foot down, tell them to take your ass home. That's what I told the guy the other day. Because he's been hurt every year. He's dealing with hamstrings. Every year he's getting PRP shots. Like, dude, you train. This isn't how it works. And I told his dad, I said, I need total autonomy.
Yeah.
Hey, you got to be like that, dude. You have to. These guys will figure out ways to get back to their old mindsets. And it's just, you know what it is, Brett? It's insecurity. It's athletic insecurity.
Yeah.
They think that one day is going to cost them the world because they're insecure. You don't see the good people doing that shit.
It's true.
The people that are established and made millions of dollars, they're like, shit, I ain't coming in tomorrow. I'm tired. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's always the scrapper, the guy's trying to get it. And that's why he can't make it, because he doesn't believe in himself enough to make it. He doesn't have work ethic problems. He has belief problems.
100%.
And you gotta know that. You gotta know that about your athletes.
Yeah.
That's the guy who needs the affirmation. That's the guy you need to say, man, you don't go home tomorrow. Take a day off. Enjoy yourself. Go talk to a girl you like. You know what I mean? Like, have a fucking life.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Hey, they might spike some of that. Some of that. No, I'm just kidding. No.
Yeah. Talking to a girl, that's gonna get your cortisol right.
Get your cortisol down.
Talk about stress.
No, cortisol up, testosterone down.
Yeah, you talk about stress. You talk about stress management. Oh man, no, for sure. Yeah. That's good stuff. That's good stuff, man. That's what I was saying the other day about my first competition when I was every single day, multiple times a day, and then I look back now and I'm like, I would never do anything like that for myself
Yeah,
or my
yeah. It's
athletes at this point.
I think
But yeah, what you said is exactly right. It's not a work ethic problem, or otherwise you wouldn't be able to do that much work. It's
right,
it's a belief, and it's also belief in yourself, but also understanding of the training.
right, right. And I mean, like, I was even talking to a soccer player. You know, and soccer's a little different. You have a lot of control over your trades, so you can not accept the trade or things like that. And you know, I was kind of telling him if you get traded, um, you need to talk to your coach about that. Like, how many rest days do we get in a week? I mean, like, you need to know this situation before you go into it, because knowing what you know now, if you know you got a Nazi and he's going to be out there 7 days a week, man, you need to stay the hell away from that. You know, especially if you had an injury history.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like these guys are
For
not.
sure.
They don't know. Like, they were coached like that, and guess who coached him? If you got a fifth, think about this. Some people don't think about this. If you got a 60-year-old coach, who trained him? A 60-year-old,
You're talking about centuries behind.
bruh. You talking about?
Wow, that's
You
an
see what I
interesting
mean? You
perspective
never
right
People
there.
never think about that. But if you
Right.
got a 60-year-old coach or 50-year-old coach, who trained him? Because of another 50-year-old, 60-year-old trained him, you're talking almost 5 generations potentially. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I mean, when I think back
that's
to
interesting perspective.
2020, I was getting ready to go to Tokyo. I was getting ready for the Olympic Games, and post COVID, I was already in. I represent Uruguay, so it was a little bit of a cheat code for me.
Yeah.
Um, and right after COVID, we got back into training, and I'm thinking in my head that I've got 2 months. I'm thinking I've got 2 months before we got to head out, start getting to Japan, and
Right.
I tear my rotator cuff. How does that happen? How does that happen? I put way too much. I get in the pool and I start going at 100% after 3 months off. And I'm
Right.
going into the gym every day.
Right.
I'm working out probably like 7 hours a day right after 3 months of nothing.
You know
And
what's funny? You're gonna hit a peak in training. You got to know where that's at. I usually see the peak somewhere around week 4 and 6, somewhere in that range. And that's what the athletes I have right now. But that's usually where I start seeing people like, oh yeah, he's got it. You can only hold that for so long. That you can't keep that year round. And that's where the timing
yeah,
comes. So with Mike now, I know exactly where we need to be at, when we need to be at to hit that peak for him to be ready to fight. You see what I mean? So the same thing happens in track, and I'm learning track a little bit more now. But there are times to peak. Now that being said, I'm not saying I'll start doing stuff slow because of that, but it lets you know you don't need it. Maybe you need to only train 3 days a week,
Right.
and you build
and
into
it's
five.
interesting, especially with Shaban, because I know she's looking for the Olympic Games, right? Like that's a
Right,
4 year cycle instead of a month to month cycle. Like you're looking at months ahead, you're looking at years ahead, and so like all of that goes into play. Where how long are you looking to? Obviously, you don't have to answer this in the exact terms, but it's like you're looking to peak very small increments before you get to that 4 year period.
I think the biggest thing with somebody who's been hurt a lot though is not times. I think the biggest
Mm.
thing is make sure they don't get hurt again. Because if you're hurt, you're not gonna be confident. You run the 100. If you're hurt all the time and you run the 100, you can't go all out. So getting an athlete to the point where they like, I'm never gonna get hurt again, is one of the biggest things you can do to benefit speed or benefit development to maximize potential. Right. So again, we're back to problem solving. You see what I mean? If I'm dealing with an athlete that's never been hurt, like I got a girl coming in now from University of Texas, a track runner, hamstring history. I got a guy for the Bucks, hamstring history. You know what I mean? I got one guy that's basically never been hurt, been in the league 6 years in the NFL, but it's kind of on the cusp. A lot of length. I can pretty much do what I want with him. He's had one foot injury and tightrope surgery, but pretty much been pretty much healthy other than that. great body, big guy. I can push him a little bit differently. You see what I mean? Because he doesn't have the history. But those guys, it just takes one fuck up. And that's what you have to like analyze. My goal was to get Siobhan through the year without an injury. We're almost there. Right? There was a time I wanted to hit. She was about 1/10 off from that. And I think if we've done some things. I've kind of given it to a track guy right now. I think he's doing pretty good work. I probably hadn't been involved as much as I probably have been in the past with her, with the me dealing with the stuff overseas. But I will say, yeah, that's the biggest thing I'm trying to impress on her is, and I think this should be for every athlete. What is your long-term vision? Right? Because if our long-term vision is 11-7, 11-8, 10-7, 10-8, right? And you're about 0.6 of a second off from that. Theoretically, you have 3 years before the Olympics. You just need to drop 0.2 of a second a year and stay healthy. Can you do that in this system? Hell yeah. Probably way more than that, but yeah, you can. But we got to figure out the right. It still comes down to problem solving. You got the best system in the world, but it comes down to problem solving. So we have to figure out the right formula where everything flows together. I'm not that great at that because I'm telling people I'm not a track guy, but there is a solution and there is a problem. And, to me, the problem is right now is I think the confidence is back. She's like, I don't even think about injuries anymore. So that's one of the best things that can happen. But I think number two is when you are running slower than what you know you can run, you start to overdo things and then you lose the relaxation quality. And you don't see great runners not run relaxed. When you watch the Olympics, you know who running hard? The people that aren't going to finish in the top 3. Yeah. The first prelims, how many of the best runners run in the prelims? They basically jog the last 40 meters because they're trying not to waste all their energy reserves.
Right.
Right. So they don't even run hard. They'll get second place. I don't care. They're going to jog it in and get ready for the finals. Mm-hmm. We're going to waste all of their reserves. But the guy that's begging and scramming to make it to the finals, who's going to get 8th place or 6th place, they're, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't, and that's not the mark of a champion. Very rarely. Noah Lau is not my favorite 100-meter runner. But what I like about Noah Lau, I think he's clean, which there's a lot of drugs in track. I think he's clean, and I think he's a great runner overall. I think he's probably a better 200 runner, and he stays extremely relaxed, and he knows who he is. He has a great character, and that can take you a long way if he stays healthy. You know what I mean? So he doesn't have to be the most naturally gifted. He can just keep tampering over time, and, he may find himself at 9.6 one day. But he doesn't get hurt. He knows who he is, and he's relaxed. And he won.
One thing I would say, especially with the hamstring guys, like we're looking at very muscle-driven people, like very that's where we look back at the fascia too. Where like these qualities, like with the plyometrics, is you're training that fascia system to like bounce.
Yeah.
You're bouncing from the fascia, you're not bouncing from the muscles. So it's like it's very incredible how despite all the injuries and despite all the like year after year, it just seems like there's more and more injuries. Every single play on the football field, there's somebody going down, and there's no changes.
You ever think about this? I keep saying the same quotes. You don't see that in 8-year-old, 9-year-olds playing outside. Have you ever seen an 8-year-old, 9-year-old come inside somebody's hamstring bothering them? No. You don't see that with 10-year-olds. You don't see that with 11-year-olds. You start seeing it 12, 13, 14. As soon as they hit them off-season programs.
Yep.
That's where you start seeing the most injuries. I was middle school, 7th grade. You don't get people hurt too often unless they get like, bullied. Bully hurt, got smashed, hit hard, or some contact. You don't see people out there pulling hamstrings in 7th grade, but you'll see it in 6th, and you'll see it in 8th, you'll see it in 9th, you'll see it in 10th.
A lot of parents and coaches have this idea that the general weight room training is essential for them to learn and to do.
I'm in Texas. Trust me. I had a seventh grader dad tell me he got to pass the eye test.
Yeah.
I said, he's 13, he's 12. Yeah, but they ain't gonna take him if like you ain't never been there. How do you know? You don't know how things are going to evolve in the next 5, 6 years. Let me show you something. People don't even look at what they're looking at. They just listen to what people say and they look at aesthetics. They're not even looking at the game of football. The game of football has basically went from a 3 linebacker system, big old thick guys in the middle, to 1 linebacker. They're basically taking a safety and made him a linebacker now, somebody that could run. They usually take the second linebacker off the field on 3rd down. So most of the time you got a nickel safety, a nickel corner, another safety, another free safety, a corner and a corner. You basically got a whole DB system out there now, and you got 4 big guys. The game has changed. The dynamic has changed, and it's going to continue to change.
I mean, if
Basketball.
we look at Micah Parsons, like Micah Parsons is like an all-time linebacker now. He's skinnier. Like Michael Parsons, he's a
Oh
big
yeah,
dude, but
yeah,
he's
no,
fast.
right. This 4-3 guy off the edge. This is what they're
Yeah.
looking for. So even now, one of your bigger guys is still a speed guy, right? Where's that going to progress to? You think offenses are about to get slower? You got 4 receivers out there. You got 2 slot guys. You got tight ends that can run. The game is changing. And guess what position is done basically? It's a dinosaur, the fullback. You basically don't have a fullback anymore. The running back is barely being used. So they're not even getting paid anymore. It's a rarity to see 2 running backs go in the 1st round now. The dynamic has changed. People are not even looking at what's going on. I had a D tackle. He was a big guy, came out with the Bears. He was on press squad all year. He went and worked on his body. He dropped 30 pounds this offseason. We worked on all I worked with him with was launching. Now, he did some other stuff I didn't agree with, but he was disciplined. I give it to him. His body was great. And he dropped like 30 pounds, and we worked on ball get off. I said, dude, like all you need to do is perfect your first 3 steps and you're on the team. Right? So all that size they put on him in college, they were going to cut him because of it in the NFL. They don't care. They want you to get to the passer if you're going to play there. And so you have to look at the dynamic. Basketball. If you were a 7-footer and you shot from the outside 20 years ago, they were like, you're soft. We don't need that guy on our team. Now you got a team full of people that are 6'8", 6'9", 6'10", 6'11", 7 foot, and everybody shoots from the outside. Yeah. Like I always tell people, everybody's talking about LeBron, Jordan. That, like, I think you need to stop disrespecting Jordan. I think you need to talk about LeBron and Steph, because Steph has had a bigger influence on the game than LeBron. He's totally changed the game of basketball. He spoiled it. If you can't shoot now, you're done. 100%. So everything's an outside game. So what's happening now? The defenses have changed. So now everybody's got to be long and fast to guard the perimeter. You see what I mean? Yeah. Like you got to, Tony Robbins, here's a quote. Tony Robbins said something. He said, most people think businesses fail because they don't have good ideas. He said, that's totally not true. Most businesses have pretty good ideas if they can get started. He said the problem with most businesses, why they fail, is they lack foresight. They don't know where things are going. That's why things fail. I look at certain people, I'm like, damn, that dude ain't gonna make it in 10 years.
Yes, that's what you see in the training.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Back 100%.
Yeah,
I'm right along with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't, but it's like I said earlier, it's a lack of understanding. It's a lack of understanding, right. Especially on these.
They don't understand about this training. It's super young. This is a brand new system. It's only like 15 years old.
Right.
18 years old, something like that.
And weightlifting is brand new too. Like, put it into perspective, weightlifting's only been around since the 70s. Like where every.
But that's a long. Well, actually, the first weightlifting started, I think, after World War.
I'm talking about for athletes, though, for football.
Oh,
for football.
Yeah. But that's a long time compared to 15 years.
Yeah, but I mean, like
Right.
I'm talking like in comparison,
From
like
like an
all of
evolutionary
this stuff,
standpoint.
all the theory, like it's all
Right.
brand new. So it's like for
Right.
somebody to say like this to be 100%, it's like
Right.
like you can't.
Right. We haven't done it long enough to do it. You're right. And then the problem with it is nothing to compare it to
Right.
but other
Hmm.
weightlifting systems.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Exactly.
some guy triggers it and it's like, look, I'm doing it like this now. That shit is still at a weightlifting speed and velocity. It's weightlifting. I don't
100.
care. You know what I mean? Like you have to totally have a different construct of science to compare it to. And until you can do that, and maybe even invent some other system, until that happens, you're not going to be able to say what's right and wrong. So you're testing a group based on getting better. I can make an 80-year-old get better. It doesn't mean they're going to guard LeBron James. Better, it doesn't mean maximize potential.
Right.
I'm not in the
Yeah,
better
yeah.
game. Better is for the trainer that's training 30 people at one time. I'm in maximizing potential. There's a big difference.
100%. 100%. Dude. And yeah, you talk about different, you talk about a training style that's going to maximize potential. It's
Right.
not going to be the traditional stuff that's been that we've been doing and that these coaches are teaching. And
Right.
I hate that that there is that lack of understanding because like I mean I have a guy I'm about to start working with, a lacrosse guy, and he currently before they found me they had paid this gym for these private lessons on weight training, and I'm seeing the videos that is going on. I'm like, you need to come here before you need to just scratch that. I know there's a financial investment, but we don't need to be doing all this.
Man, let me tell you,
Because
I learned the most about the gym, the weightlifting in the gym from bro science.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
most people
Bro
are.
science
Yeah.
taught me more than anything I've ever learned from a trainer.
Yeah.
Shit, I would bro science the shit out of people. I
Yeah,
lifted with bodybuilders all the time. Man, let me lift with you. I lift with them 5 months, 4 months, 3 months, learn so much shit. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Bro
oh yeah,
science is one of the best teachers. And you paying somebody to teach you to lift weights, that's the craziest shit I've ever heard in my life. I would never pay for any of my kids to learn to lift weights with somebody. You got to be goddamn kidding me. With all the YouTube and stuff out there,
right.
you
Oh
all you do
man,
is
it's ridiculous.
push, pull, curl. That's it.
One thing, push pull curl. One
That's
thing,
it. That's it.
one thing, yeah,
Time
one
under
thing,
tension, right?
yeah. Push
Hey, you know what's so
pull
funny
curl
though?
is funny, Brian.
They don't even do that right.
Well,
They
that's
don't
what I
even do
was
the
about to
weightlifting
say.
right.
That's what I was about to say. Is
Yeah,
like
they don't do that right.
you could at least do like because I'll see the same example of the athlete I was just talking about. I see the videos. I'm like, this isn't even right in the lifting perspective.
No, bodybuilders talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
They're wrong even
At
in
this
that
point,
aspect.
at this
Like,
point where I am, I think it's funny. I really think it's funny how there's different like people will get mad about the technique. Let's just call it of a squat, and you're like, "Oh, you're
yeah,
squatting wrong. You're squatting. You should squat this way. You should squat this way." I'm like, maybe don't squat at all in this
if
fashion.
that drill needs to be perfect for it to work, then
Yeah,
then
what?
it needs to be its own sport.
And it is.
You get what I'm saying?
Well, and it
If
is its
that
own.
drill needs to be perfect for it to work, it needs to be its own sport.
Yeah.
It is
And
not for athletes
it, it
because
goes back to
athleticism
the
is not
system.
perfect.
Well, and yeah, and
Yeah.
muscle hypertrophy is not a it has it's not it has inversely correlated to athletic performance, I would say.
Right, right,
And I mean,
So,
forget about athletic performance for a second. It's like like the bro science goes on to what feels good. Most people
right,
aren't even paying attention to what feels good. They're paying attention to this guy said this and look at his
right,
body. So he's
right,
100% correct.
right. Like everybody trying to grow a butt now. But to me, the best way to grow your glutes in a
Full.
gym environment is a lunge.
Oh,
But you
okay.
see everybody doing 20 million isolation lifts. You could put more load on the glute from a lunge than like 80% of the things in the gym. Or you can ISO yourself to death. But guess what? The nervous system doesn't know the difference. All it understands is damn, you just beat the shit out of me today. Right? So if I got a leg extension machine and did 15, not 15, but 5 1-minute sets. My brain doesn't know if I squatted or extended. It doesn't know. All it knows is my quad is deadly on fire right now. You see what I mean? So I would go in with this trainer. He used to work the Dallas Cowboys. He was a bodybuilder though. And we would never lift that heavy. I thought we were going to just pound weight. And this guy, a guy named Keith Klein, one of the best nutritionists in Houston, he sent me to this guy. And man, we would go in there, and I remember the first 10 minutes was the worst shit ever. He put me on this machine called Big Red, and we just, but everything was minute sets.
Yeah.
And I was just on fire after the first 10 minutes. Like my legs were shaking. And we do leg extension, minute, everything was a minute set, 3 sets of a minute, right? And then we do these, and then we do leg press. And he'd go like complete tension up and down, and he timed for a minute. And I was just done. And I got bigger. I wasn't like too bulky, but I got way bigger quick. I think I put like 10 pounds of muscle on over the summer. Like I looked really good, right? And I didn't get hurt. But even I said, even in that, that's a better method than what a lot of people are doing. You know, it wasn't that hard though. But I think now what's happening, the guys that are in the off-season programs or they're building the programs, a lot of them are jarheads. They're steroided up. They love their bodies. They love aesthetics. They love the way people look. They don't really love the way people perform, right? Yeah. Is there something to aesthetics? I'm not saying there's nothing to aesthetics. Like I'd be lying. But what you have to understand something, the best athletes a lot of times are going to have the best aesthetics. And the best athlete with the best aesthetic a lot of time is going to be the best lifter. And the best, and just because he's the best lifter doesn't mean it's the best for his body. He's just going to be better at it because he's better at everything. He's an athlete. That's what makes him great.
When it comes to the aesthetics part, right? Like, I don't care what split you follow or whose training program you do. Your genetics will never allow you to look like this individual, no matter how hard you try.
Oh, right. Unless you're gonna get some gear.
But even then, though, like no two guys on gear really look the same when you think about it. It's a genetic.
Right. Even that comes down to aesthetics. Like that, actually, the guy who was training, now I think about it, he was on gear when he tried to become a professional bodybuilder. He's like, I didn't have the genetics.
Well, and then another thing I think is very interesting from this could be from a wellness standpoint, but also athletic development standpoint as well, is like the training that we're used to, the squat, hinge, curl, lunge, push, carry, pull, whatever you want to call it. That's very weird. It's very new. It's very from an evolutionary standpoint. Like the human movement, basic human movement is like, run, like sprint, throw, catch.
Right.
Like these are the training. Yeah, these are the training methodologies when you think about it, how the human body should actually perform.
Even if if those things are right, why aren't you on your toes?
Yeah.
It's like they're right even if they were right, they'd still be wrong. Like, why would you do that flat-footed? And then if you see a flat-footed person, you're like, damn, he's flat-footed. I have people call me all the time. My kid, he's just totally flat-footed. He just plays flat-footed. I'm like, is he lifting weights? Like, yeah. 90% of shit they're doing here is flat-footed. Like,
they'll defend it till the end of time, though. They'll defend it till the end of time. It's
right. Crazy. Like, he's doing more of that than he's actually playing football games. I guarantee you that.
Yeah.
You're only gonna play 10 football games a year, maybe 16 if you're lucky.
You think about time of work. Time of work is very interesting. So there's they do because what average football play is 6 seconds, and then how many plays is it per game? 6 8 seconds or whatever. And then you average those out for the amount of plays per the game. MMA fighter has more work time in the 15-minute bout than the 2-hour football game.
But average football player in the NFL plays on infield action for 10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're out there every day for 3 hours a day.
Yeah.
And lifting and doing it's too much. That's what I'm saying. Most of the guys are just worn out.
It's asinine. Like it really is. It really is. And I mean, like the big thing too is like you got the David Goggins people, you've got the Kobe people, you've got everybody's like, oh, I'm putting in the work. I'm putting in the work. I no days off. No, and it's just a lot of it really has to do with the social media side. It's like you've got all these people putting that mentality, and so people they trick themselves. Athletes, I think the number one trait of an athlete is how easy they could trick themselves.
Right. Right. I think that the Goggins stuff has its place. You
For
know, it's
certain
got to have
things.
its
For
it's
certain
got to have
things.
its place, and not necessarily. Uh, I like that stuff.
I
Don't
think
get it
people have it
twisted.
or they don't, though. I think they have it or they don't.
I think it can be developed a little bit. When I was on that goddamn mountain, it made me rethink some shit.
It's true.
But I think I have some stuff in me too. But that shit, hey. I
That's
was saying
true.
that shit too. I was on that mountain a couple weeks ago. Like, God damn, like every step hurt. Every step, and then I'm coming down the hill and the shit still hurting. My goddamn toes sliding in the front of the damn shoe. I'm like, man, this is crazy. I'm in pain for 5 hours straight. Scared as hell. I was, you know, they say rocking a hard place. I literally at one point I was in between a rock and a hard place. I was just sitting down in the mountain. I'm like, where the fuck are they? I'm looking down. I'm looking. I got my phone. I'm trying to vision down. I think I see them at the bottom, so I can go back. I don't know where they at. I'm stuck between a rock, literal rock, and a hard place. The goddamn wind blowing. I got on the wrong side of the mountain. I'm on the ledge, holding on, 1 foot on. I looked over like 1,000 foot drop. Man, I jumped my black ass back over there so fast to the other side. That was scary. Boy, that shit was scared. I'm climbing all fours.
Oh my God.
Like, man, let me tell you something.
Yeah.
I would never look at a stair stepper again the same way and complain. That shit did something. That was some scary shit.
Oh my God. That's great.
Oh, that's an amazing story right there.
Damn. Well, I got off that mountain like Moses. Hair was gold. Like man.
Yeah.
Oof.
Oh man. Well,
Oh, that's
on,
great.
on that note, Brian, on that note, we want to respect your time. We've been going for
Yeah.
3 hours. So man, I mean, I know I'm down to keep on going, but
Yeah, we can run it back, man. We can
yeah,
run it
we
back
got
again.
into it one time where we
Yeah.
didn't we didn't cut it ourselves, and it ended up being a
Yeah.
situation where we
Yeah, nah, we just run it back. Just run it back
probably
in a few
post the
months.
episode. Yeah, all right, cool. So
100%.
I know you got a Zoom
100%.
coming up that people can join and learn from you on the live call Zoom if you want to talk about that or plug anything else you want to talk about.
Yeah, I'll be doing it's funny, a whiteboard session. We're gonna try it again, but I'll be doing a whiteboard Zoom uh actually in a few weeks. And I'm calling it a whiteboard Zoom. We'll be doing some whiteboard work, but I'm gonna really go into like divining some of the science with the nervous system. But there's some things with impact I think people don't really understand and how to receive load. I think those are very important, and that is one of the biggest things when you're transitioning people out of weightlifting into a pliable system. And for it to work, if they can't manage the eccentric or the load portion of the mechanic, you're going to have a lot of problems because that's where most of the resistance comes from. Because in weightlifting, you resist on the load and you relax on the fire, but you really should relax on the resistance too. So there are going to be a lot of topics like that being talked about. Also, how to like monetize neurological aspects. We talked about some of that today with the rest recovery time, things like that, and with how long to hold drills. That's why I see a lot of trainers making the biggest mistake. They don't have a clock in their head. So I was watching somebody that's been learning from me, and they literally had a drill going for 30 seconds, a basic cone drill. I was like, that person ain't getting it. You know what I mean? Like, I have about a 12 to 13 second clock. So if you go through my videos, you can almost look through them. The average segment time is around 12 or 13 seconds. So, but you got to have a clock in your head.
Yep.
So,
100%.
Well, we'll post this. We'll post this upcoming Wednesday, so that way we can
that's
the people.
yeah, and that's going to be in 2 weeks. So if that's coming out this upcoming Wednesday, those
What's the
it
date?
won't
What's
be
the
it
date
won't
on
be.
your?
That's the 20. Let me verify that.
Maybe we
7th, I
posted the
believe.
week. Maybe we posted the week before. Maybe we posted the week before.
Let me see here. That is
So the 26th is
that's it's a Saturday that weekend. What is that?
yeah, that's gonna be so yeah. So we could post it not next week but the week after, and then the people
Yeah.
that watch can can check it out. So
Okay.
awesome, man. And we'll link all your stuff below. Y'all make sure you follow Brian. Brian, we appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Appreciate your time. This is a great one.
And
Absolutely, man. We enjoyed it. So we'll see you guys later. It was a great episode. Peace.
All right, bro.
later.